We should be going live now. Welcome everyone, this is On Just Restart. Hopefully the stream is working. I hope it is. This is just... I don't like the new YouTube setup. We've been over this. It's still kind of a pain in the butt for me. But we are back. It's been a little bit of a break, but we should be going live now. For those who are watching, let me know that you see everything, if everything sounds right, if there's anything you want us to adjust right now, let me know. This is the time to adjust the background music or the audio levels for either of us, or just, you know, anything. So please, if you guys are watching right now, let us know how everything sounds and looks so we can adjust that now, so that way the rest of the podcast does not suck. But without further delay, for those who don't know, this is a Nintendo podcast. Normally, we have them on Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We have changed our time to Sunday nights now. We used to do it. We did it for like Monday for like a year and a half, or like almost 2 years.
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah, we're on podcast 105, so we have been doing this for a while. But yes, at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, Sunday nights, that's where it should be. But today is the last podcast for the year, right, Brandon?
It is.
And for those who don't know, that's Brandon. The link to his YouTube channel is in the description below. What about Nintendo?
If I ever decide to post anything there again, you'll see it.
When you're ready.
Or you can watch my great backlog of amazing content, some of which is relevant and some of which is not.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, you've created lots of videos. It's all there. So,
yeah.
Yeah. So your work can be appreciated.
I'm still making money. It's interesting.
Well, that's the thing, because a lot of your videos are still published, right? There's still stuff out there you've made that people are still watching every day.
Yeah. And I will be back, by the way, guys. I will. I don't know what capacity, but at least live streams. Definitely when Animal Crossing comes out, I plan on doing a series on that. But yeah, I will be back eventually.
Cool. Yeah. Sorry. Brandon, can you raise the audio like on from your mic just a little bit? I don't know if it's like quiet for everyone else, but just for like me personally, I think you could be a little louder.
Can I change that from inside Discord? I think I can. Let's see. No, my input volume. So I'll just turn up my gain on my.
Just
mic.
a tad. I think.
Is that good? Is that
Yeah.
better?
Yeah.
Okay. This is where I'm gonna be sitting. So is this better?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think that's fine.
I turned it up just.
It was never bad. I always heard you. I just feel like I sound so loud to myself. So I just wanted me to be a bit more even.
Yeah.
But just checking with it. I did see Vilbeard on the accidental stream earlier. So if you're watching this, what's up, man? I did see your comment. Thank you for stopping by. I see Kami Mingo. Hello there. Super Chris. Hello. Earthbound. That's a great choice of a game to be playing, Super Chris. Brandon Stallion, hello there. So I actually do not have a paper cut, a haircut. My hair is just tied back. It's a cheap way of having a haircut. You just pull it up. There it is.
I had a haircut like 7 weeks ago.
It looks good actually. It's very clean.
It needs to be like trimmed, I guess.
You were getting scruffy beforehand.
Yeah, it was. It could be trimmed, but it's fine. My hair grows way too fast. It's like a month and then I need a haircut.
Oh, yeah, Stan. I mean, I cut my hair like 2 to 3 times a year.
You also keep your hair a lot longer than I do.
And for that reason, I rarely cut it. Yeah. Haruhi, hello there. I would prefer Paper Mario over Ghost Trick, mainly because I've never played Ghost Trick. Yeah, I think it was on DS or 3DS. I mean, it was an interesting idea with like playing with like being a ghost and sort of bending reality. I vaguely remember gameplay videos I've seen of it.
Sounds interesting.
No, it is kind of like an interesting sort of puzzly game, puzzly detective, dead person game, sort of, right?
I enjoy those types of games. My problem is just so many other games that they end up being like so low on the list of priorities for me to play. I never end up playing them. But if I get them for like free or like real cheap, then I'll play them. But you know, it's just one of those things you have to go out of your way to play, and it's not one of those killer apps. So
no, yeah,
it is.
From what I remember, it's just an old DS game. I think I never played Ghost Trick. I've just seen gameplay videos of it. So, but it did seem interesting. What he's saying, it's the full name of the game is Ghost Trick Phantom Detective. Anyways, just
Cool
so
name.
everyone knows, we are doing our predictions for 2020 now. Like, me and Brandon talking about everything. That's what this podcast is about. We still haven't gotten the overlay fixed because since I deleted everything off of my computer, I haven't had the time to go and make a new overlay. Sorry.
I feel that when my hard drive broke, all my overlays were on that for OBS, and I was like, well,
yeah,
took me like weeks to fix it.
it takes time. Yeah, it kind of does. I do have Charmander working now, though. So, like, I did my predictions video at the beginning of last week. Charmander was there. He was talking. His voice was back. That was working. So, the next thing may be the overlay, and then maybe we'll actually work on redoing that intro and outro that have been the same intro and outro for over 2 years. I mean, I like them. I don't mind them.
I should redo mine when I get back.
I want you to get good at coding so you can just do my outros in Unreal.
Yep.
Yeah, just remake them in Unreal Engine. That would be epic. That would be so cool.
Dude, that would be fun for me to do, just in general.
Yeah, so that's an idea for you. So I see here Brandon Stallion added me. Do you think Diamond and Pearl remakes will be shadow revealed on the Pokemon Twitter account? Don't forget, that's exactly how Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire were announced. So, that's a great question, and honestly a great way to get things started with our predictions, because we don't have a specific outline. We're just going to kind of, you know, just go with the flow here. But let's talk about Pokemon first. So thank you for bringing that up, Brandon Stallion, which is a different Brandon from Brandon here. But, so...
more horse-like.
I am still on the fence. I am still on the fence about whether there will be a new Pokemon game coming out next year, mainly because I personally think they should eventually take a break. They haven't in a while, right? Sun and Moon came out in 2016, and I'm just talking about the mainline games. I'm not talking about any of the little things they've done in between. But the Sun and Moon came out in 2016. Then in 2017 it was Ultra Sun and Moon. I like to refer to them as Ultra Trash. I didn't buy them. 2018 was Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, and then Pokemon Sword and Shield just came out. That's 4 back-to-back years of mainline Pokemon games. They've never gone that many games in a row. Normally it's like 2 to 3. It's like 2 games in 3 years, something like that. No, it's just straight one game after another after another.
Yeah.
So I would like it for them to make a break and just sort of focus on making the next game a really big deal. So if there were to be Pearl and Diamond remakes, I don't expect them to really be kind of like Sword and Shield, but you know, like with a wild area and more and all, you know, roaming. Maybe they could have roaming Pokemon, but I just don't expect like an open environment and things like that. Although
I'm not even expecting roaming Pokemon, honestly.
No,
I kind of feel like
they have to do that. They cannot. If they
I
don't
kinda
even
feel
do
like
that,
they'll stick more to the roots just because it's a remake, you know?
But there's just some things that they gotta do, right? Like there's some things they gotta do, and I hope that's one of them. But we'll get to what we sort of expect from a remake if that's what they do. But I just kind of want to cover like whether or not it could happen first. But so while I do feel like a break should be imminent from my perspective, if you consider that they've done 4 years in a row, maybe they've set things up in a way where they don't really plan on taking breaks at all. Possible, or maybe they.
Seems like they're going that direction.
It does, right? They've never done this many in succession, so we'll see. I will say that there have been merchandising. There has been a bit of merchandise that has come out that is suggestive of Generation 4. And normally the merchandising is kind of a lead up to what game will be coming out later in the year for Pokemon. So, I mean, that's the way it happened for Pokemon Let's Go, right? It was even the same for Sword and Shield. We saw things that sort of hinted at something from Great Britain, and Sword and Shield's based off Great Britain. So I definitely think that there's a chance that Pearl and Diamond remakes could be coming out next year, but I do not expect them to be like big, grandiose, like completely changing the thing. It's going to be more down to earth. It's, you know what I mean, in terms of like the actual gameplay. But we can talk about in a minute. Brandon, what do you think in terms of the likelihood of there being a Pearl and Diamond remakes in 2020?
I think it's pretty likely. That's the one everybody's been talking about for years. I've seen people on Twitter and Discord. Anytime I talk about Pokemon in a video, people bring it up. So I definitely think that they're planning on doing it, if not this next year than the year after, but it doesn't seem like they're taking any breaks. As you said, like 4 back-to-back years, they haven't taken a break. And we are seeing the merchandising, so it'd be weird. I don't know. Because if they take a break now, and then they come up with Diamond Pearl, and then a year after that, they could come out with the next game. But I don't know. I feel like this year could be a good, 2020 could be a good year for a break. You're right back off of the biggest Pokemon game ever. So I feel like if they're going to take a break, it should be now. But I kind of have a feeling they're not going to take a break, you know?
Yeah. Oh, I know. Like, and there's a lot of controversy for Sword and Shield, and I've been supportive of Sword and Shield, but at the same time, like, I also have been noting that I do think it's about time for them to take a break. Because I feel like breaks are important for the quality of their games. Granted, if they have the infrastructure and they feel like they continue to make quality games in that way, sure. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I've enjoyed most of their games. Well, I like Sun and Moon. I like Sword and Shield. Ultra Sun and Moon. So like the mainline Pokemon games I'm okay with, but the in-betweens are kind of just not really enough for me in terms of to be a compelling game. And so maybe I'm kind of hit or miss it. So we'll see with the Pearl and Diamond remakes. I've been wanting Pearl and Diamond remakes for a really long time. Generation 4 is one of my favorite generations. So I would love it for them to go back to that. And if definitely I would assume that it's going to be based off the Platinum version that has the extra content in there. And if you include that with some of the newer mechanics now, like roaming Pokemon, which I really don't think should be that hard to accomplish, along with obviously the 3D battle engine and things of that nature, I think it could look pretty good. Like, I think you brought up a great point maybe a month or so ago when you said, do you think it could be kind of like Let's Go, just not chibi style? I think it's going to be kind of like that. Like, Let's Go, Pearl and Diamond, but not Let's Go in terms of the Pokemon Go mechanics and the chibi style, but in terms of it being sticking to the original layout of Pearl and Diamond.
Right. The reason I think they might not go with roaming Pokemon is because there is a large chunk of the fan base that doesn't like it, who wants strictly just random encounters, and I feel like they might want to cater to that audience, because even Sword and Shield, like, it had random encounters, but it was like the smallest chance, like, of you actually getting a random encounter. I feel like they might want to throw a bone to that audience, especially since this is a remake, not a new game. They just had 2 games back to back with without random encounters, pretty much. So I think they might want to say, hey, this is a remake. We're gonna stick a little bit closer to that game for that audience and not put in roaming Pokemon, or at least not as much. Like, put more of a focus at least on the random encounters, and maybe have roaming Pokemon as like more of the side thing, kind of how random encounters is the side thing in Sword and Shield.
Yeah, I would like it to be kind of along those lines as well. I guess I can do without the wild area. I would prefer. It would be really great if they could somehow include something along those lines in Pearl and Diamond. I don't expect that because they're coming out with a game every year, and they're not that big of a studio. Yeah. Yes, they've gotten bigger, but they're still not a big studio compared to other AAA developers.
Most of their stuff is outsourced.
Right, and even if they were like a bigger studio, like for example, all of Nintendo's big studios still take a few years to come out with their big games, right? So yeah. I think it is a heavy workload that Game Freak is dealing with. So my expectations are a little reserved. If it's at least I'll be disappointed if we don't have roaming Pokemon. I'm gonna be frank. That'll be a disappointment for me. I don't expect Wild Area, even though I want it. Which is why I kind of wish they took a break and then created Pearl and Diamond with Wild Area stuff in 2021, honestly, right? And maybe just have DLC for 2020 to help like bridge the gap between Sword and Shield and a Pearl and Diamond remake. But yeah, we'll have to.
I think the Pearl and Diamond remake will be on the smaller scale. That way, they're not, they're appeasing the fans who want it, but they're not putting in so much effort that it's taking
and that's
away
their bridge
from
game.
The next gen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could definitely be the case for sure. Just checking with the chat here, and by the way, guys, for those who are watching, thank you so much for watching. But if you want even more people to maybe enter in the chat, please share the the podcast. That'd be appreciated. Twitter, Discord, wherever you would like to do that. Let's just check in with the chat here. Kali Mingo, I would like to have a Pikmin trilogy and not a Pikmin 3 Deluxe. My favorite is 2. And you? I like Pikmin 3 a lot. I like all of the Pikmin games, but truth be told, I've never beaten any of them because I played Pikmin 1 and 2 when I was little. Pikmin 3 was because my Wii U gamepad was just kind of a mess. Like the battery it had to always be plugged in by a cord because the battery was just dead.
Yeah.
So it was always kind of an uncomfortable experience to play Pikmin 3 on my Wii U. So I am all for a Pikmin trilogy to kind of, remaster all of them. That'd be great. Will they do that? Probably not.
I just find the comment kind of funny just because they're like, I'd rather have 3 Pikmin games than 1 Pikmin game.
Yeah, wouldn't we all?
What you said.
Yeah, wouldn't we all? But like,
I'm like, yeah.
But I mean,
like,
I understand though, because like we're expecting Metroid Prime trilogy, right? Like that's a lot. We haven't gotten it yet, so maybe not, right? But that is kind of, it's a weird thing. Like Metroid Prime trilogy, we, at least from Nintendo, having a 3 games in one thing is very rare. Especially like 3D adventure games, right? Like it's rare to see something like that from Nintendo. So
yeah,
I don't necessarily expect a Pikmin trilogy, but I'm right there with you. That's what I would prefer because I have not had the opportunity to play through all of them, and I think it would be a great way to introduce everyone to Pikmin. So I would love that. I don't know if it'll happen, but I would definitely love that.
Because I mean, if there wasn't a Metroid Prime trilogy already on the Wii, would we be expecting a Metroid Prime trilogy HD, or would we be expecting like a
There were
remake one?
rumors. There were not. It wasn't just that it kind of makes sense for it to be remade. It also because there were a lot of rumors coming out about that, and I don't just mean like 4chan rumors. I mean like leakers with proven track records who say, hey, there's gonna be a Link's Awakening game. And there's a Link's Awakening game next week, right? Or it's like, oh, there's gonna be a new Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, and there's a new Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. Like things like leakers like that who literally tell you exactly what's gonna happen weeks in advance. Like those leakers have talked about Metroid Prime trilogy, so
right.
It's not just that it kind of logically makes sense. It's also that people have literally told us it's there.
If they hadn't already had a trilogy, do you think that they'd be remaking it as a trilogy? Like if the trilogy on the Wii didn't exist,
I understand your question now.
Maybe we'd only be thinking, Prime 1 or Prime 3,
We'd be thinking remake Metroid Prime 1. Yeah. That's what we would be thinking. That's a great point, Brandon. Is this a good transitional point into Metroid? Kinda. It kind of is.
We've talked about Pokemon. I know we can always go back to it, so we can transition.
Yeah, there's no, we can go back.
No boundaries here.
I will check in with the chat before we move into Metroid, though.
Okay.
Brandon Stallion added me. I personally prefer roaming Pokemon. I like to be able to see which Pokemon I'm about to catch. It makes Pokemon hunting a lot less tedious. I definitely, yeah. I mean, that's one definite pro for roaming Pokemon. I don't think many will argue roaming Pokemon is worse than the way it was before. I do like the balance that they struck in Sword and Shield where there was still random encounters, so sticking to that, as you mentioned, Brandon, would be a great way to go about it, but we'll have to wait and see. I think it comes down to how, I don't like using the words lazy, but how ambitious the Pearl and Diamond remakes are. But I mean, even Let's Go had it, so if Let's Go had roaming Pokemon, come on, it's gotta be there. Back-to-back games, like Let's Go's like, it is technically like a mainline game, but it's like sort of not at the same time. You know what I mean? Like it's obviously not their big main focus. And they had roaming Pokemon, and the next game had roaming Pokemon. They've had back to game.
I hope the roaming Pokemon work more like Sword and Shield though, because the ones
in I think they kind of worked on the AI a little bit since Let's Go, so it would be a little bit better. I feel like with it being back-to-back games already, I feel like it should be something that should be considered a standard for all Pokemon games moving forward. Like, because it was just in Let's Go, there was that question mark if they would continue with that, right? But since they had it in Sword and Shield, I do feel like that kind of has to be in the Pearl and Diamond remakes. It would just be so weird to have back-to-back games doing it, to not do it in the next game up. That would be a huge step backwards, and I would be critical of that. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, Haruhi is saying Let's Go 2 is after Diamond and Pearl remakes. If they decided to do like Let's Go Generation 2,
I don't think it'd be after a Diamond and Pearl remake, just because that'd be 2 remakes in a row.
like literally, maybe just like eventually after. 2 back-to-back remakes would be sort of odd, but I guess that also depends on what you would consider a remake, because they also had Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire immediately after Sun and Moon, which was just kind of like a reimagining for Sun and Moon. Like it was Sun and Moon set in a parallel universe with a slightly different sort of story, right? But it was like it was a retelling. It wasn't even like the sequel, or it was same thing. Like
it was its 3rd version essentially, though. This would be 2 remakes in a row with no 3rd version for Sword and Shield either, or any kind of DLC or anything.
I would love if we're gonna have like games in succession, like if they're just gonna do that every time, I'd prefer a Sword and Shield sequel after Diamond and Pearl remakes. I think that would be the best way to go about doing it. But we'll see what happens.
I'd hope they just take 2021 off. Just, release some like spin-off games or something. That would be fine.
Yeah. So, let's talk about Metroid. What do you think's happening for Metroid this year, Brandon?
This year. Honestly, the only thing I think is happening... Okay. Before I saw something on Twitter, the only thing I thought was happening was Prime Trilogy. That's it. No Prime 4. No Prime 4 teaser. Nothing. Just Prime Trilogy. But I saw somebody, I forget who it was on Twitter, said they heard something about Prime 4. They had some kind of update for it. So now I'm kind of like, I don't even know what's going on with Prime 4. But at the most, if anything with Prime 4 happens next year, at the most I think we'll get is a teaser trailer. That's it. Nothing else. Probably not even a release date. Maybe a release window, perhaps. But not a name, nothing. But I think I'm like 90% confident we'll get Prime Trilogy. As far as Prime 4 goes, I think there's a small chance we could see a teaser.
So it went up after that update you saw today.
They didn't share what it was. They just said they heard something.
Okay. I think you're referring to Doctray81.
Yes.
And what he found was information, hard information apparently, the LinkedIn profiles showing job listings or hirings for Retro Studios hiring an artist to review environmental outsourcing, suggesting very strongly that Retro Studios is outsourcing their environments for the game. And if they're outsourcing, the whole purpose of outsourcing is to expedite development, right? So that would suggest that they're going well. And if they're hiring an artist to review the outsourcing, that means they're already reviewing the environments that have already been made or are being made. So that does sound like a later into development hire. It is promising, I would say that. I have, if you guys saw my predictions video, I'm just gonna put up my image. Because I showed you the image. If you guys saw my video, we'll come up here. What was the file name? Oh, there it is. Got it. You guys saw my predictions video. You may have saw an image. I was gonna try and just like this. You may have saw an image like this that I made. Now, granted, this is not like, oh, for sure, this is exactly how I think it's gonna be. This is like best case scenario. A couple of these things will probably be not there, right? But this is a good looking year, right? my point, the only reason I even show this is because I think that it's possible that we'll get a teaser for Metroid Prime 4 at E3, especially if Prime Trilogy does come out this year, and it could be a Breath of the Wild 2 situation, where assuming Breath of the Wild 2 comes out holiday 2020, right, it would be sort of a situation where the game is teased at the E3 in the prior year, and then a year and a half later the game comes out. And I don't think that's crazy if you consider that the development for Metroid Prime 4 was restarted around holiday 2018. Like, it was announced January 2019, but that doesn't mean they like literally the day before they're like, oh god, we're starting development now, let's film this video and upload tomorrow. No, this is something that they've probably been working on for at least a few weeks, maybe even a few months, right? So I think it isn't crazy to think that the late 2018 is when they actually restarted development. And if that's the case, let's say that would give them 3 years if you assume the game comes out holiday 2021, right? And that's also taking, and that would be 3 years, but that's also forgetting about everything that was done before the restart. We're assuming that the restart means that nothing at all is recycled. There could be some things that are recycled from that. Not to mention, Kensuke Tanabe, the Metroid Prime director, already has a vision for what he wants to do from a story perspective for Metroid Prime 4. So if he already has an idea of what he wants to do with Metroid Prime 4, and he is heading the project along with Retro Studios, and they are outsourcing some things, then assuming they have all that work already kind of done beforehand with the outsourcing, 3 years is not really that crazy to me. So it honestly wouldn't surprise me if we do see a Metroid Prime 4 teaser similar to the Breath of the Wild 2 teaser last E3 in 2020 as the E3 2020 big surprise. I think it could happen. Will it? I mean, I'm not assuming it will because I don't want that disappointment, right? But I do think there is a possibility, a good possibility, not like 10%, like I'm going to say 50-50, right? Obviously, I mean, just throwing out a number there, but I feel like, yeah, maybe we'll see it E3 2020. It's optimistic thinking. There's a lot of ifs that have to be, go in that direction, but the listing that Doctor81 pointed out is in support of that.
Honestly, in art, what was it? Level art?
Environmental
outsourcing
review artist.
Right. They could hire them pretty early, to be honest.
They could.
Depending on what they're having outsourced. I mean, they could be just, halfway done with the first area and they wanted to get a review. So I don't think that says too much, to be honest. If you look at it in a very, very, very positive light, or an optimistic, or whatever you want to call it, light, then maybe that could mean something. But honestly, if you look at it just from like the vast amount of options and possibilities, that could mean absolutely nothing. So I don't think that, I'm not going to put any stock into that, like maybe a little bit of a hint, but I'm not going to like say that means anything, because it could mean absolutely nothing. It probably has actually a greater chance of meaning nothing than it does to mean something, to be honest.
Yes, I'll give you that hirings in general are not much. So my thing is simply that while it is hard to sort of gauge what the hiring itself suggests where they are into development, I guess it is the fact that they're outsourcing though is different. Outsourcing
that I'll give you that.
is a move for speed, for getting things done quicker. At the same time, I'll say
about why they even needed to outsource. I'm just wondering, this makes me just curious about what their other project may or may not be, if there even is one, if they need to outsource things. Because before they were a big enough studio to just do everything in-house.
I mean, okay, but you also have to take in... Yeah, the Zelda team was outsourcing aspects for Breath of the Wild. They had Monolith Studios handle part of Breath of the Wild. So
they also did that for Skyward Sword.
Right, so it's not like, outsourcing doesn't automatically mean that the team is busy with something else or they can barely handle it. It's a large game, and having multiple studios work on certain parts of it is kind of normal. Excuse me. That said, one of the supposed reasons why Metroid Prime 4 even had to be restarted to begin with was because they were using like an ad hoc sort of method to develop the game, where it was being developed in parts in different studios. So, you know, there is that concern there where if there's too much division of what's been going on, there won't be like a cohesive thought process as to what to do with the game. But if they're just outsourcing environments, maybe that would be okay. Especially if they have a dedicated, I mean, you know, but I guess I would assume every development team would have a dedicated artist to review the environments to make sure everything's sort of in line with what it has to be.
Yeah, and it probably goes past the director too.
Yeah. So
he's probably heavily involved in the environment concepts too.
Man, I just want to see this game E3 2020. Like
I
want
will
a trailer.
Say, I think 3 years. I think 3 years is definitely legitimately possible, especially since didn't Tanabe work on? He was part of the development team, where he headed the original development team, right? As well.
Yes. And the Metroid Prime series has always they've had shorter development cycles, actually, not long ones. Like, it's been, the longest one was Metroid Prime 3. Yeah. The others were 2 years.
Since they worked on that project for several years, like, they have to know like exactly what they want to do now, because usually when you start developing the game, you don't quite know what's going on. Like, you're still working through a lot of the basic what you want the game to be in the beginning, for even up, you know, like to like the second year development. But now all they have to do, like, they kind of know what they're wanting now, for the most part, so they can just do it. So I definitely think 3 years is enough time. So I could see holiday 2021 for sure, coming out with Metroid Prime 4. So I'll say 30% on the.
So I'm at 50%. You're at 30%.
E3. Yeah.
For seeing a trailer for it at E3 this year. Okay,
at E3.
But let's talk about the other Metroid stuff, right? So we'll talk a little bit about Metroid Prime 4, but for Metroid Prime Trilogy HD, you're like for sure seeing. You think we're for sure seeing it this year?
Yeah, I'm like 90%. I think the only reason we didn't see it last year is because Prime 4 got delayed. Because everybody was.
But I would also say that if the reason they delayed it was to sort of bridge the gap a little bit, if Metroid Prime Trilogy HD does come out this year, I think that would be suggestive of, hey, the development for Metroid Prime 4 is going along smoothly. Maybe it's not too far off either.
I do think it will come out. Prime 4 is likely 2021. The reason I'm not sure if it will be at E3, by the way, to clarify, is because I think they might announce it in like that kind of
like a Game Awards
Spring Direct area, kind of like when they
like a Luigi's Mansion 3 sort of thing.
Well, that was September, but more like a Smash Bros thing.
Right. It's like right. So spring. So a spring Nintendo Direct in 2021.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. That's why it was confusing for me, because we don't even have the spring 2020 Direct yet. Yeah, but I got you. Okay, so I get it. Right. Confusing.
But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because I think the only reason Zelda got teased, honestly, is because it's Zelda, and that's one of Nintendo's, like, the biggest hype.
But Metroid's kind of similar, though.
It has been, but I mean,
in terms of like hype, like the hypeness of it, it is. So giving it that big of a stage, I kind of think makes a lot of sense for Metroid. Like, they're putting there's a lot is riding on this game. It's not like a normal. This is not a Luigi's Mansion 3 kind of game, and I'm excited for that game. Right, this is not an Astral Chain. This is not a Fire Emblem 3 Houses. This is something, or even an Animal Crossing. This is something where they are treating this game as kind of like one of their next big, amazing single-player adventure kind of games. You know what I mean? Like a Mario Odyssey or Breath of the Wild. And they also recognize that Metroid has not done well, right? But there's also been a lot of interest in Metroid Prime 4. Metroid Prime 4 has the opportunity to finally shove the Metroid franchise into that same breadth sales-wise as Zelda. I'm not saying it's going to be as high as Zelda, but it has the potential to take a significant leap, especially on the Switch.
Yeah.
And in terms of like generating buzz on the internet, it is very comparable to Zelda. So I think an E3 sort of situation, it kind of does deserve that environment, in my opinion. Right? My opinion. Right? Maybe Nintendo's like, oh, what are you talking about, you fool?
Ugh, Metroid. It's
No.
barely sold a million. How dare.
I kind of feel that it is something deserving of a E3 reveal. So,
I could.
you know.
I don't know. I do feel like they want to keep on their sort of schedule though with their their announcement to releases that they've been doing. And I feel like Breath of the Wild. The only reason they did that, honestly, just because it's Zelda. They always show Zelda off.
That's a good counter argument, actually. I like that because with Zelda, there's that, but then there's the other consideration that they've already have an established engine for this. Like, development for that's probably going really well because they already have everything set and packed. They're just putting in content pretty much. Like, there isn't too many question marks with that game. Showing off Metroid a year and a half in advance is a serious issue. It's a serious issue.
Cycle.
Right. You're right. And it's a serious issue considering what just happened with the restart. So you're right. They may want to be really careful with that, and maybe what you're saying is true.
They're only at that point they'll only be halfway through the cycle. Like, sure, they'll probably have stuff that's ready.
Well, I make the argument that they'll be more than half because I feel like there has to be some things recycled from the restart. So that starting point, which would be say late 2018, wouldn't really be a starting point in my opinion. But I understand what you're saying. I think you're making a lot of sense, and I don't agree with my stance as much anymore. But I'll also recounter and say that having it at E3, it kind of the Metroid fans are a little rabid right now. Like just giving us a teaser would be a gift in and of itself. Like, just having us something to see after years of waiting would be special. Because we've been waiting since they announced it back in 2017. So, giving us a teaser 3 years later, I think that'd be, from that perspective, if they can, I think they should. And I think they would if they can. And if they're comfortable with where they're at in development and they feel that teasing it now will not upset fans because they'll be showing off too much too soon, right? But I understand what you're saying, that considering the restart development and considering that they would only want to show it off unless they're really confident that it's going to be coming out soon.
Yeah,
I get it. So
they
definitely
might
maybe
also,
not.
Just because it's a year and a half away, depending on what they have planned, they may not want it to be announced just because they don't want to distract from other things. I'm not like you never know what Nintendo's thinking internally as far as like releases and reveals and all that kind of stuff, and what they think might distract from something else, or if they think something might get overshadowed or anything like that. So they might be taking something in consideration we don't even know about yet. So you never know. I think your mic's still muted, by the way.
I clicked it. I was seeing it. It wasn't.
Yeah. Sometimes it just doesn't.
Yeah.
You gotta real pay attention to it.
Yeah. No, I was looking at the audio level. I was like, nope, that's not working. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. So definitely, maybe keep our expectations in check about a Metroid Prime 4 teaser. But I still think there's a chance that can happen. Even in my predictions video, I never said for sure it was happening. But
I'm gonna raise my 5%, 35% chance.
You said 30 earlier.
There you go. I did. This is 35 now.
Okay, I'm still sticking with 50. Because for the reasons you mentioned, it's not the right time for it. But I'm still sticking with 50 for a Metroid Prime 4 teaser at E3.
I was at 10%, but your arguments jumped that up 25%.
Oh, that makes me feel really nice. But let's talk about the other Metroid stuff. So what about 2D Metroid? What about Metroid Prime Trilogy HD? We actually had started talking about Prime Trilogy HD, and we jumped back to Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah. Trilogy HD, I think, is almost a given. We've heard too many rumors. It's like, if it didn't happen, I don't even know. I wouldn't believe any leakers ever from now on. I just feel like it's gotta be a thing, right?
Yes. No, I think it's for sure real. It's just, it really just comes down to when it's coming. And I think that it is. I feel like this year kind of makes sense, provided that I'm right about, Metroid Prime 4 development going along swimmingly. Because the thing is, let's say Metroid Prime 4 is actually a 2022 game. Maybe they save Prime Trilogy till 2021, right? That could happen. So that would mean it doesn't come out in 2020. So there's that consideration. But I feel like they are further along than that. And on top of that, Prime Trilogy doesn't have to come out literally a year before Prime 4.
Doesn't. I mean, look at Bayonetta 1 and 2.
No, yeah, exactly. But maybe they wanted to save it a little bit further down the road because of the delay, but not necessarily a year before.
I don't know, because I think for sure they are working on a 2D Metroid, by the way. I think sure.
That's also why I think that Super Metroid rumor was entirely bogus, because that was suggesting that wouldn't come out till not this upcoming fiscal year, but the next one after that. There's no way they would know about Super Metroid that early on in development, because it's a remake of a 2D game, right? So how long could the development for that even be? It's not going to be 3 years. Okay, so let's say it's like 2 years to completely remake that from the ground up. It's a 2D game. Yes, it would be probably in 3D, but 2D side-scrolling gameplay style, and it would be a remake. So let's say that has a 2-year development cycle. This leaker was saying that a Super Metroid remake would be coming out in not this upcoming fiscal year, but the next one. So
it was like 2021 to 2022 fiscal year.
Yes.
Right?
So there's no way they know that the game is like literally in its infancy in terms of development. That's stupid. And it's also stupid to think that they haven't been working on 2D Metroid since Samus Returns.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe it's not. Okay, stupid. It's a strong.
I think they might have taken maybe a few months, but
yeah. I feel like it's likely that they kind of jumped into that. So I feel like a 2D Metroid is probably. It wouldn't surprise me if that gets announced this year.
I don't think.
I just want to say I said stupid, but that was a strong word. So if you think that stupid is wrong, but like definitely I think it's likely that 2D Metroid probably has been in the works already, and I don't think it's Super Metroid.
Something I'm thinking. I don't think we'd have to wait till 2022 to see a 2D Metroid.
No, I think it would come out this year.
If we're getting Metroid Prime 4 next year, I don't think they'd do a 2D and a 3D at the same time. Honestly, I think this year they might do Trilogy HD and a 2D Metroid.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think that's certainly possible. Yeah. I'm there. Like I think like in my predictions, I mentioned 2D Metroid, but I didn't give it a time frame because I feel like I'm not super confident about predicting both in the year, but I definitely think it's possible, like you said, Brandon. I kind of like the idea of it. Let's say we get a January Nintendo Direct and they reveal Metroid Prime 4, say it comes out like late February or sometime in spring, right? Metroid Prime Trilogy HD. Did I say Prime 4?
You did.
I meant Metroid Prime.
I was about to be like, oh, not even.
Thank you. I meant in a January Nintendo Direct, they may reveal Metroid Prime Trilogy HD. Finally, it'll come out in a couple months, right? I'm hoping for February, but that might be a little bit too soon.
I think it'd be a little bit after that. I think the closest we've gone.
Well, let's say the January Nintendo Direct is like literally like a week into January, right? And Prime Trilogy comes out the end of February. I think that window can totally happen. There have been games that have come out that have been announced and they come out not too long afterwards. Ring Fit Adventure is one example of that. So
yeah, but this isn't. This is a different level of game than Ring
What was the release? What was the announcement time and release time for Twilight Princess HD?
Twilight Princess HD was released. It was announced in November Direct or December Direct, one of the two. I think it was November. I remember pre-ordering it, I think, in November. And then I think it released February or March.
When was New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe announced?
In a direct, September direct, I think.
Maybe
It's
you're
always been like a good 4 months, I think, in between. If I remember.
4 months
like
makes
3 or 4
sense.
months. So I'm thinking maybe April. They can announce
Yeah,
in
so it
January,
was
release in
so New
April.
Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe came out September. Well, the trailer announced came out September. It came out January. So yeah, 4 months makes more sense. So maybe a May time could make sense for April or May
April
time.
or May, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you could be right about that. And then a 2D Metroid could be maybe a September time.
Yeah, that'd be a good window for it. September or October, I think.
Mm-hmm. I could see that.
Could take up that time slot.
I could see that. For sure. I'm all for it. I am all for it. So actually, I like the point that Jugsy brought up. He's saying, are there any Nintendo games coming out in February that we know about? No, there isn't. What we know about is Tokyo Mirage Sessions that's coming out in January. We know about Animal Crossing that's coming out in March. And that's pretty much it. We know that Bravely Default 2 and No More Heroes 3 are slated for 2020, but we don't know when, along with Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. And a lot of us are assuming already that Breath of the Wild 2 is coming out in 2020, but that's not confirmed yet, but I'd say it's likely. So basically,
I think February
we have
might be a dry month, honestly.
We
usually have one dry month a year at least.
It could be February.
It's usually towards the beginning of the year. There's just a month where.
But we also had nothing in December.
Nothing. True.
And Tokyo Mirage Sessions, I feel like
January. I feel like every year we're like,
hey Brandon,
the beginning of the year,
Brandon,
it's kind of dead.
Brandon,
it's the beginning of the year.
Brandon. Metroid Prime Trilogy.
What?
HD. It's coming out February.
I highly doubt that, but maybe I'd be pretty hyped if it did.
It's the month of love.
The love of Metroid.
We all love Samus.
Everybody's getting annoyed at this bit by now.
She's hot. Okay.
You guys heard nothing.
All awkwardness aside. Yeah, so I agree with you that it coming out in February is more my wishful thinking, right? But I do think there's a decent chance that something comes out in February.
Something, but I think it won't be anything big, honestly.
Maybe an update for something.
It might be some
maybe,
third party or something.
or maybe Smash DLC comes out then. Although I feel like,
yeah,
actually,
well, the final character probably will come out February because we don't even know what it is yet. So that's they'll probably announce January, come out February.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, that's kind of a good segue into our next topic, which would be Smash. We both agree January Nintendo Direct Smash character reveal, right?
Yeah,
like
100%. It's not there.
Well, we said what didn't we say 110% for Game Awards or something? No, it was actually 80 to 90.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
we're pretty confident. We did say there was a possibility, or at least I think I brought it up, that it could be in a January Direct.
I definitely acknowledge it as a possibility, but a very unlikely one.
Yeah. At this point, there is 1% chance it's not in the January Direct. If it's not in the January Direct, the
DLC is canceled. Yeah, so I would say it makes sense that for there to be, I don't know, it's not even, it doesn't make sense, it is. The final character for the Fires Pass will be revealed in a January Nintendo Direct. Now, when will it come out?
Unless there's a February Direct.
You
It'll be revealed at the next
really
Direct,
think
which
they'll
will be
wait?
either January, February.
They'll have us wait a whole other month?
No.
I guess theoretically, no. There's no way. There's no way.
Yeah, there's 1%, 5%
because
chance that
because okay, here's the thing, there is a way, but I don't think it's a likely way because one, we know next to nothing, right? If they wait until February, that means there's nothing coming up for February, and they don't talk about Tokyo Mirage Sessions in a Direct. They would probably have just a trailer drop, and
yeah, that'd be weird.
The Smash character would have to basically be shadow dropped in February, and they would just not talk about it at all in January. After not talking about it at the Game Awards. That I just think is a little weird. And then they want to follow that up immediately with an Animal Crossing Direct right before it comes out, which they could do.
I was about to bring that up.
They could do that, but no, I feel like they try to space it out a little. Although at the same time, right, and people thought I was crazy for saying this, but I was right. We had the February Nintendo Direct for 2019, and I said 2 weeks later there would be a Pokemon Direct, and people were like, no, that's way too soon. Except there was literally a Pokemon Direct revealing Pokemon Sword and Shield.
True. Although Pokemon is kind of different just because it's the Pokemon company. Also, we like barely ever hear anything about it in directs typically. Like Animal Crossing will be mentioned.
It could be discussed in yeah, right.
So it'd be a little weird to mention it.
But that also makes it weird for it to be so close together. Like yeah, exactly. We're on the same page.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like it. Yeah.
Yeah. So January Direct just really kind of makes the most sense, honestly.
Yeah.
So
early generate first 2 weeks.
Right. Because yeah, they have to do that. Because even if the Smash character isn't shadow dropped in January, they would have to wait into the very end of the deadline for February to then shadow drop it. And they normally don't shadow drop the characters. They did that for Hero, right? Did they shadow drop him? Did they?
No.
I don't remember. It's all a blur to me. He came out July 30th. He came out July 30th. And E3 was not July 30th.
No.
So, yeah, there haven't been any...
you mean like... Yeah. No.
So there haven't been any shadow drops for the Smash DLC, as far as I'm aware. So, that would be unprecedented, really, I guess, to do that. Yeah. In which case, January is pretty much the time to do it. And so, all right, so then, yeah, we're in agreement. Fighters Pass, January. There we go. Okay, final character Fighters Pass will be revealed then. But I also think while they may reveal the final character, they may also start to talk about the upcoming DLC beyond that. Maybe they announce a second Fighters Pass. Kind of like what they did at the end of the Smash Bros. Direct, where they sort of, they told us the pricing and the contents of the packs. They don't tell us what it is, but they tell us the contents of it, and maybe there's like a bonus
I think they definitely will.
me costume or something purchase if you get that.
I think 100% that they will. We're going to know what form this second DLC will take. If that's a Fighters Pass or whatever else they want to do, it's probably going to be a Fighters Pass again. But we're going to know what it is. We're going to know price, that you'll be able to purchase it or pre-purchase, right then probably, or soon after. So I think 100% they're going to do that because they want people to know what's going on so that they can get ready to buy it.
You know what'd be nuts? If they show off 2 characters in the January Nintendo Direct.
I don't think so. I don't think they'll show off a new character for the second wave of DLC, honestly. I really don't think they will.
Well, hear me out. You're right. I don't think it's likely. But like the thing is, like, let's say they reveal the final character for the Fighters Pass, and it's a third-party character, another one. I know some people really like that. I might like that depending on who it is, probably. I've been okay with pretty much all the characters so far. I was even kind of hyped for Joker, even though, like, in hindsight, I don't like him that much. I like the other characters. I don't like Joker that much personally.
Not plays Joker as much as
I just don't like how he plays. It's just a personal thing. There's nothing wrong with the character. I just don't personally like it that much. The music is cool. The stage is cool. I just don't like the character that much. The other 3 I like a lot. But my point is that would all be third party. And I think a lot of Nintendo fans, right, that are really like hardcore Nintendo fans would be like, okay, we want Nintendo characters. And if you have the entire Fighters Pass be third party, then from like a marketing perspective, while I do think bringing in third-party characters, it is a good play for sure. I think a big part of the Smash fan base might be a little reluctant to get the second Fighters Pass if they don't show any proof or suggestion that the second Fighters Pass will have some Nintendo characters. You understand what I'm saying? Unless they just think, no, it's all gonna be third-party.
We have heard that the second, rumors that the second Fighters Pass is also all
right, but there's also rumors that the character will be revealed at Game Awards, and that was wrong.
True.
And they kind of came together. Like, the same people were saying that. So
everybody was saying it was gonna be at the game, but there was one person who right before the Game Awards was like, maybe not. But nobody was conclusively saying no, it won't be at the Game Awards. So
There was
like
one.
one or
There
two
was one
people who were
person
like,
that
maybe
that
not.
said shortly beforehand that it doesn't look like it's gonna be there, and that was Sabi.
Yeah, yeah.
But as
he
far
wasn't
as I'm
even
aware, Sabi
conclusive.
has
He
not
was,
said that for sure it's all gonna be third party. So, well, that's been the discussion. That hasn't been like the confirmation, right? And while I won't say that Game Explain is like, well, they have leaked things as, theories before, right, in their discussions.
Yeah.
So I do consider Game Explain leakers, sort of. They have provided inside information about random stuff that no one would predict before Nintendo Direct happens. But I really just think it's their own personal speculation when they talk about this. So obviously, just take it with less than a grain of salt. But they have said that they're of the impression that Nintendo characters could be coming to the DLC. Now, maybe that's based on their own inside knowledge, but probably just their own personal speculation, right? My personal speculation is it just kind of makes sense for there to be Nintendo characters. So the point I'm simply getting at here is that I think it's likely there's going to be a couple of Nintendo characters in the second Fighters Pass, or whatever it's going to be. And I think if they end off this first Fighters Pass with just third party, they need to have something suggestive that the second Fighters Pass is going to be a little different. So maybe they do a teaser for that character, or they have another bonus character or something like that. Or maybe the final character for the Fighters Pass isn't even third party. They just throw everyone for a loop, and they just completely surprise us.
I would enjoy that.
It'd be cool.
I'd enjoy it. Yeah, it'd be cool. Honestly, I don't think they need to prove anything because I think people will buy it anyways.
Maybe you're right.
I think they know that. I don't think that they think that they need to prove anything about the second Fighters Pass.
Would you be disappointed if the second Fighters Pass? Would you be? I just want your personal opinion. Would you be disappointed if from this point moving forward for the entirety of the rest of the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate DLC is third party? Would you be disappointed?
A little, but honestly, not really. I don't think that there's any Nintendo character that's like, why in the world, Nintendo, did you not put this in? Like, there's no character that just screams like they need to be in Smash. Like, there's characters I want to be in Smash. Rex and Pyra, I want to be in Smash. I'd like it if the Akira twins from why can I not remember the name? Andres, help me.
Kira Howard.
Me. Yes, but the name of the game.
Astral Chain.
Astral Chain. I don't know how.
Your favorite game of the year.
It's my favorite game of the year, and I was playing it the other day.
It's okay. It happens.
Yeah. I don't think they need to be in either.
Right.
I don't think ARMS characters, they don't need to be in. They're already me costumes and everything. Like, there's no Nintendo character that just is like, they need to be in. And I'm pretty happy with the Nintendo characters we have. I think there's a lot of third parties that could be really, really cool. Doom guy would be awesome. Rayman would be nice to see eventually.
I'll give you that.
Finally.
When I think about cool characters, predominantly it's mostly third party at this point.
Yeah.
Like,
so I'd be a little bit disappointed.
Like, I don't need.
Be like,
So something I recently discussed in my Smash 2020 speculation that came out a couple days ago is that I want there to be more Nintendo-esque characters, right? So they are technically third-party characters, but they're characters that are close to the Nintendo fan base. And I see someone who is bringing it up. Jugs McGee's bringing it up. Cosmos. That would be a pretty cool character because that's closely tied with Monolith Soft. They make a Xenoblade games. Cool. It wouldn't technically be a Xenoblade character, but Cosmos has that history with Xenosaga. That would be really cool to see. Geno for Super Mario RPG, another Nintendo-esque character, right? Because a lot of us played Super Mario RPG. That was a Nintendo game, but it was made by Square Enix, so it would technically be third party because they own the rights to Geno. That'd be really cool. No More Heroes 3 got a big trailer at the Game Awards. It's coming out in 2020. That's been a franchise that's been mostly, or at least timed exclusives on Nintendo. Big Nintendo, kind of like a cult following for Nintendo fans. If Travis Touchdown was made into an actual character for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, that would be a Nintendo-esque character. I think a lot of people would be really happy with that. Another character that is kind of like rising in popularity now with the speculation is Agnes from Bravely Default. Bravely Default 2 is coming out in 2020 for the Nintendo Switch. That was also a big trailer feature at the Game Awards. We don't have a female rep for the DLC yet. I'd be pretty happy with Agnes from Bravely Default as well, and I would consider that a Nintendo-esque character because the Bravely Default series, Project Octopath, those have been exclusive third-party RPG games on Nintendo, and a lot of Nintendo fans have been really big fans of them, so I would consider them Nintendo-esque characters as well. So there is a list of like pretty cool Nintendo-esque characters that could make it in as DLC that I think people will be really happy with. And I'd be happy with that too. Like, I'd be all for that.
Amaterasu from Okami would be pretty cool too, as a female rep. And
oh yeah,
I
Amaterasu. Yeah,
Okami with,
I wouldn't consider that a Nintendo-esque character.
Yeah.
It like maybe it has like a little bit of a Nintendo
brand.
Feel.
Because it's a very. It feels like a game that could have come out exclusively for a Nintendo system, you know.
Okami was not on Nintendo at first though. It was a PS2 game.
Wasn't it on the Wii too?
Afterwards, I think. I could be mistaken. But
it was a multi-platform game.
Right. Well, that's my point though, is that it wasn't like a timed exclusive on Nintendo ever.
No, I'm not saying it was.
Yeah. So, but
I'm saying it's a game you could see as Nintendo exclusive.
Right. It had. I understand what you're saying. It does feel a lot like Zelda, Okami. So there's that's going for it, and I do think a lot of fans would appreciate Amaterasu. That's true. Spirit of Z4 just brought up Phoenix Wright. I would consider that a Nintendo-esque character. The Ace Attorney series is very popular on the DS. Mm-hmm. Like that is, I mean, has Ace Attorney been anything else but Nintendo? I don't know of it. So I would definitely consider that very Nintendo-esque, and that would be pretty cool to see for sure.
It's funny because he's in a fighting game that's never been on a Nintendo system before.
Oh well, that's interesting. I didn't know that. That's interesting.
I think it was Phoenix. Maybe it was a different person. I thought it was Phoenix.
What fighting game?
Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Was it Phoenix Wright who was in that, or was it somebody else?
I'm gonna Google it.
It might be somebody that I associate as very similar to Phoenix Wright.
Phoenix Wright, Marvel vs. Capcom. He was in it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, he was in it.
Yeah. I don't think that game ever came to a Nintendo system, did it?
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so what did the Phoenix Wright series, like? Has it ever been on not Nintendo though? Like, has it been on other?
I think it's been on phones, hasn't it?
Okay. Well, that would.
Yeah. I believe it's been on the phone. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, according to Spirit of Z4.
I'm just like checking wiki.
I believe he was on. I believe it had. I know Professor Layton was on phones.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Phoenix Wright might have had a phone release as well, but I'm not sure. I don't play that series, so I don't know.
Huh.
But I just find it funny because he's in a fighting game that's I don't think ever been on a Nintendo console.
At the very least, it's a character that's been popular on Nintendo consoles and had a lot of pretty good games there. So, but just kind of moving on. Definitely, yeah. I that's what I want to see. If it's not like a lot of like actual Nintendo characters, a lot of Nintendo-esque characters. Honestly, the only like Nintendo character I really want is Rex and Pyra. Besides that, everything else is Nintendo-esque, like Geno or Travis Touchdown. Everything else is, third party. I'm fine with.
Or something that's like.
I mean, I would like to see Dixie
Kong
Kong and maybe Silex.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I really, really want to see Doom just because of his history, not only with Nintendo but just gaming in general. Like he should be in. Mm-hmm. I think he deserves a spot.
Maybe.
Or BJ Blazkowicz, however you pronounce his name. From God, why can't I remember the name of that shooting game? Very similar to Doom. Came out in the 80s, 90s.
You're not talking about Resident Evil.
No. No, I'm talking
shooting
about...
game. Oh, Half-Life?
No.
Unreal Tournament?
No.
That is a shooting game that, that started in the 90s.
No. It's on the Switch. There's 2 games of it on the Switch.
Turok?
Not Turok.
No.
BJ Blazkowicz is the main character of this game.
It
don't
sounds
think I
so.
pronounced
Oh
his
wait,
name right.
Wolfenstein.
Wolfenstein, yes, thank
Oh.
you. Good on. I've just been working too much lately. I can't think about anything.
I know the feeling. I know the
But
feeling,
yeah,
Brandon.
either him or Doom Guy, but I think Doom Guy's more popular by far.
Definitely. No, well,
Even though
the
BJ Wolfenstein is
I don't-
technically older.
I don't see that happening.
But
Doom Guy, if anything.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So let me check in here. Terry added me a few times. Let's see. Terry said it might be possible that we get 2 more waves of DLC. Each wave will have a bonus character that's first party. That's one way. If there was like a bonus first party character for each Fighters Pass. That's one way that could maybe go. I wouldn't mind that necessarily. Terry's saying, I think Wave 2 will have Geno, Rayman, Crash, Bandicoot, Sora, and Shantae. Oh, that'd be intense. That'd be pretty good. Cosmos is owned by Bandai Namco. Is originally from Xenosaga. She was only a guest character in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so she'd be pretty cool.
I don't think Cosmos is likely, but it'd be cool.
There was a lot of I don't remember all the exact details, but Cosmos rose up really high in the speculation recently. So we'll see what happens with that. Flat and Motionless, he loves the Zelda music.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's also saying he wants a Zelda HD remake for the Switch.
Ports in the Wii U versions, do you mean?
Skyward Sword HD has been rumored, sort of. Like, Eiji Aonuma brought it up at a Zelda concert last year.
Yeah.
So
weird.
maybe, but I don't really know what's happening with that, to be honest with you. Breath of the Wild 2, I feel really good about this year, though, at the end, the very end of the year.
Yeah, so I don't think Skyward Sword HD would come out next year.
Oh, maybe it does. Maybe that's a February game. Maybe.
Maybe so.
Perhaps.
I doubt it, though.
Yeah. Brian Stein added me. I think Waluigi will be a bonus character. Sora will be the first party character of Fighters Pass 2. And Doomslayer will be Fighter 2. Crash will be Fighter 3. Scorpion will be Fighter 4. Geno will be 5.
I really hope that Waluigi does not get in this game.
Waluigi is number 1.
Oh,
No.
no.
Terry, that's a great point. Shantae, he's saying that Shantae is a Nintendo-esque character. She did get her start on Nintendo. Shantae, yeah. Shantae's another one of those characters that I would like to see as well, and would be Nintendo-esque for sure.
I just feel like I don't think any indie characters are getting in, honestly. I think Shovel Knight had the best shot, and he didn't make it.
Shantae's happening. You shut your mouth. Mala64,
Shantae
hello
could
there.
happen, but I don't think so.
We'll see. Yeah, I understand your point, Brandon. It is tough for the indies to make it in. That is true. But there was that, what was it, like a Shantae, there was that Shantae trailer that had the window of the Smash logo. So who knows? Maybe that's a teaser.
Is she a Spirit, though?
That doesn't mean
So
anything.
she's already in. No,
you
no,
think
I just
Spirit's
mean, like,
deconfirmed?
No, I don't. I just think that might be why the Smash logo is in
Oh,
this
yeah.
game.
Just because they're just happy that there was any inclusion in there at all. Like,
Yeah.
like some people think that if a character isn't at all in Smash, like if a character is like not playable, that's like not good enough of an honor. But a lot of companies are just happy to be involved even slightly.
You
like,
think an
as a
indie
Spirit.
company would not die to be anything in Smash? Like,
Well,
come on.
die is a bit strong. Like, I mean, just look at Sans as a Mii costume. Like, that's a huge deal, dude. That's a huge
Yeah.
deal.
It's massive.
And they got music too. So I mean, they got more than just a Spirit. So that Toby Fox definitely got some love there. But it wasn't. But Sans is not like an actual dedicated playable character. Granted, as far as all the Mii costumes go, the Sans Mii costume is the best Mii costume because it basically looks exactly like Sans. What?
I said, oh yeah,
Oh, okay.
green.
Yeah. Spirit of Z4 saying there were 15 extra character slots when the game was data mined, so a third fighter pass is possible. Yeah, I mean, I remember the amount of slots, but I don't want to make the assumption that they're going to do that. Like, they may have made those slots just to future-proof themselves. That doesn't mean they'll do it. And if they really wanted to, they could also add more. So I just...
Right.
I don't put too much stock into it, but we'll see. So it's definitely possible.
That data mine came out like when?
Like the beginning, after... like shortly after Smash came out.
Yeah, I doubt. So that had been like in the final code for the game. I just don't see them like. I don't think the slots mean anything because I don't think they even had all of everything planned out, to be honest. So I really don't think that the amount of slots means literally anything. I think it's just
I'm not expecting characters beyond the second Fighters Pass. Maybe it happens. Maybe they just kind of just drop them randomly whenever they want. But they're gonna stop sooner or later.
Yeah, you gotta finish it. You gotta stop.
Yeah.
Making it eventually. Even
eventually.
2, stop getting updates.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. Terry Severson is saying, I highly doubt we'll ever see a Mortal Kombat character in Smash Bros. Well, never say never, but...
I don't see why not.
Yeah, I wouldn't say never, but they didn't make it this time, it seems like. Although there's still more DLC to come, so, you know, can't say for sure.
Still got the Final Fighter.
Right, I understand it's just like the gore aspect of it, like it may be too violently themed. But, I mean, if you look at the Ridley trailer for Smash, like, he was killing people.
I mean, people are...
Killed Mario and Mega Man, like... Yeah, like, if you get rid of the blood, you can pretty much get away with a lot. You get rid of blood and body dismemberment. You can kind of get away with putting any character in there. But at the same time, if you want to stick to true to what the character is, if there isn't blood or body dismemberment for a Mortal Kombat character, then maybe that that wouldn't be appropriate for the image of what Mortal Kombat is, right?
True.
So, we'll see. But Sakurai may not always be running Smash Bros. Maybe in the future they're like, hey, you know what? We still want it in there. You know, and it'll be someone else running the show, and they won't care too much about the details like Sakurai does. So we'll see. Brandon is adding me, do you think we'll get a Mario Party next year that goes back to the style of the GCN games, GameCube, like the return of orbs, big and unique boards, returning boards, return of Bowser spaces? Honestly, not sure. Nice. I'm not gonna pretend to be the biggest. Like, I'm not saying I don't like Mario. I do. Mario Party, I do. But I don't get every single Mario Party. I don't play them extensively. I usually play the N64 ones, so that's kind of like where I really sort of stick to. So I'm not an expert on it. I just think they're gonna have their own different direction with the Super Mario Party. I don't think they have any reason to sort of change their formula too much. So maybe just
if they made another Mario Party, that they need to be way more ambitious than they were with Super Mario Party.
You think so?
They only had four boards. They were all very simple. Nothing that distinguished them too much. They were probably some of the simplest boards in Mario Party history. It was just a completely unambitious game for the most part. The mini games were cool though, and it had a few modes. Like, it had a pretty good amount of modes. But as far as like pure normal Mario Party, there's no single player, 4 boards. Like, it was so unambitious. I don't think that they can come up with another Mario Party like that and people would just be like, okay, because even Super Mario Party didn't sell that well.
Yeah, people
would just want more content. They wanted more stuff even at day one, and we were like hoping for DLC, and that didn't happen.
Right. Yeah, we'll have to see about that one. Terry Severson brought up an interesting point where, going back to Mortal Kombat. He said Mortal Kombat isn't allowed to be sold in Japan. Given that, I do see there is quite a barrier for Mortal Kombat to get into Smash Bros. Because the character isn't allowed to be sold in the area. Having that character get into Smash Bros. Would be quite a challenge.
I did not know that it was not. Yeah, I don't think it would happen then, for sure.
Definitely a challenge. I just don't like saying never for pretty much anything.
I'd give it a 1% chance. I don't think that's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
Though, as Monolith64 said, Scorpion would be pretty dope.
Definitely. Brandon Stallion added me. Technically, Andres, Sakurai could have Scorpion with his Mortal Kombat 1 and 2 design and moveset in the original games were a lot lighter on the blood, and Sakurai likes to use classic designs, so he'd probably base his moveset off the classic games and his design. Yeah, well, you know, I don't know. We'll have to. Well, I think we've kind of, my opinion, I don't think we're getting Mortal Kombat DLC in Smash Brothers this time around. Who knows what the future holds? Think with the times, different things change, standards change, rules change. A game may be allowed in a certain region. Could change as well in the future, but for now, you know.
I think there are other characters that are better fits anyways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, it is kind of a funny point that I see here from guy you don't know. He's saying, I think it's hilarious how both Captain Toad got DLC before Super Mario Party. So, yeah, Super Mario Party didn't get DLC. I think, to me, honestly, I could actually see Super Mario Party coming out at some point in this year because there was no DLC for it. Like, most Nintendo games get DLC on the Switch, and that didn't happen for that. They could just be focusing on the next game, and maybe that game does have more content and is a little bit more ambitious, like to what you were saying, Brandon. And I wouldn't be surprised if that came out this year, in 2020. I mean, not 2019. Comes out the 31st. Help! Surprise! Mario Party Shadow Drop. No, maybe late 2020 we could see Super Mario Party 2. Yeah.
It's possible, but I'm not gonna count on it.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. But let's go beyond that. What else? What hasn't been announced that you think could be announced in the year 2020, Brandon?
Ooh, that's a hard one.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we think Metroid Prime Trilogy HD is gonna get announced.
Okay.
Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 will get confirmed for 2020.
Say it again.
Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 confirmed.
Actually, could you raise your volume a little bit more?
Okay. Boom.
Yeah.
Raised.
Okay.
Zelda Breath of the Wild will be confirmed for 2020. I'm just trying to think of like just brand new. I feel like something Pikmin's got to happen, right? Like Pikmin has been just I don't know, man. I think Pikmin's got to have something because it's been so long, and every year we keep thinking Pikmin, and then no Pikmin, and I feel like something's got to happen with that.
Yeah, Pikmin would be great to see. It's been a while. We did briefly talk about the possibility of some sort of Pikmin compilation. Supposedly Pikmin 4 has been in development for years and years. I don't know what's going on with that. I assume they just kind of shelved it, and they're sort of waiting. I don't know when to reveal it.
Honestly, like, I believed that might be the possibility before, but I think they canceled and restarted, to be honest, because there's no way they've shelved it for like 4 years. There's been so many gaps that would have been perfect.
I don't know.
They didn't do it.
I'm not sure, because I think supposedly Pikmin 3 was supposed to come out at some point, and it didn't this year. So either A, they canned that, and they're just focusing on Pikmin 4 for maybe even 2020, or maybe a Pikmin 3 remaster will come out in 2020, and then they'll get Pikmin 4 out there. It's hard to say. It's kind of so confusing because supposedly Pikmin 4 has been done or near completion for years.
Since like 2015.
Yeah.
Like there's no way. They had to restart it completely or something.
I don't know, man. It is weird.
5 years, man. It don't take 5 years to even make a Pikmin game. They could have had 2 Pikmin games out by now.
I don't know what's going on with that. I'd like to see Pikmin.
We could be having Pikmin 5 releasing in this next year if it was done in 2015.
Yeah. Do you think we'll get a Pikmin 3 remaster? There was a rumor for that. Like, that rumor came alongside the rumor for Mario Maker and Link's Awakening, and it didn't happen. Like, it was Prime Trilogy, Link's Awakening, Mario Maker, and Box Boy, and
maybe they
Pikmin.
pushed that. Maybe that'll be the February game, Pikmin 3, because
Makes sense.
I could see that, because I don't think it'll be anything like big. I think it'll just be 1080p, new controls, because without the gamepad, and that'll be pretty much it. Maybe like a little bit of new side content or something.
Right.
It's not gonna be ambitious. It's not even gonna be like a Metroid Prime Trilogy HD or anything like that. It's just gonna be high resolution. I don't think the game had any frame rate issues or anything on the original, so I don't think they even have to buff that out. Nah, they're not gonna do much with it. Honestly, I don't think they need to. So that could be a good February game. They get announced in January, come out February. I think that might.
Yeah, having the game at 1080p as opposed to 720, that alone would be pretty nice. With controls that work and are consistent, that
give us the option for the Wii
and have it include. We're talking about Pikmin 3, right? Like
versions.
just bring all the DLC. Yeah. That'd be nice because it had DLC. Yeah, Pikmin 3 had DLC, dude. A lot.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah, so include all the DLC. That would be decent. I'd definitely prefer that.
You got the new. I think they'll have regular controls, and I think they'll have the Wii type controls.
Yeah, they can shove both in there.
Yeah.
I hope the traditional controls are default. It has to be because.
I think it would be.
Yeah.
The Wii controls did work really well though for 1 and 2, so I wouldn't mind if that was kind of what they focused on. Mm-hmm. But I think they gotta go with something that works with the Pro Controller as well. So.
Right.
They'll have both.
I agree. That would be good. So man, I could see that. Yeah, the February spot could make sense. I mean, it's kind of like the saying our argument for Metroid Prime Trilogy, honestly. The only difference is Metroid Prime Trilogy might be more.
It's much more ambitious because it's so remastered. This is just an upscale port.
Okay, yeah, because the technical was already in HD.
Way less.
Yeah,
ambitious.
I
you
get
don't gotta
your point.
remake any of the textures or any models or anything.
You're right. I see your point with that. Cool, that could make sense. And actually, I see an interesting point by Monolith. He's saying, not gonna lie, I kind of hope they focus on making a dope remake of Metroid Prime instead of upscaling the entire trilogy in one game. I understand your desire for that. I kind of would like that too.
I would like that, but I haven't played 2 and 3, and I don't have a good way of playing it, so I want to.
I also just kind of want the Prime trilogy. That would be exciting enough for me because.
I think for the amount of people that have not played Metroid, it'd be way more smart for them to do a trilogy as opposed to just the original game and then immediately doing 4, because they're in comparison to like how many Switches there are and like how many people play games, barely anybody's played Metroid Prime.
Right, I mean it's a lot of content. Honestly, it's a huge amount of content for one remaster, so that would lead me to believe that the amount of changes they would have for it would be minimal. But, just make the game look kind of like how it looks on Dolphin, right? With a good computer, with traditional controls and an optional motion control version. Have gyroscopic aiming and call it a day. Like, that's pretty much all you have to do. And people will love it. I would like some quality of life improvements, like Brian, you've brought up in the past, like doing kind of like a Breath of the Wild style kind of map with like putting, making notes on the map and points where to go to sort of make it easier to understand. I'd appreciate that. If they'd go into more detail in terms of like maybe streamlining the gameplay a little bit more, like with how you use a scan visor and things like that, that would be appreciated. I don't know if they'll go that far, but at least some of the map stuff, right? Some quality of life improvements would be nice to see.
I think the textures will all be, high resolution
HD-ified.
HD textures.
Yeah.
I think it would be like Twilight Princess. It's gonna be one of those games where you see it and you're like, oh, that looks like how it did originally, but you go back and you're like, oh no, I forgot how. Oh yes, GameCube textures. Oof.
Mhm. So I see an interesting point. Who was it? Yeah, Terry Sivertson. He says, I think in the January Direct, we'll get the reveal that Bayonetta 3 will be a 2020 game. And actually, recently, we heard that Kamiya said that Bayonetta 3's development is going swimmingly well. So, I do think it's about time for Bayonetta 3 to get a gameplay reveal. I could see it being a 2020 game for sure. So, I definitely sort of expect that for 2020. That is one of my predictions, that Bayonetta 3 comes out in 2020. I'm thinking second half, but like September, October time. In the fall. Late summer, fall, or fall time. Bayonetta 3.
Yeah, I definitely think
Book it.
it could take up the same spot that actual chain took up this year.
Yeah.
Just like that late
Yeah.
August
I agree.
spot. So yeah, because I mean that game's got to be coming out soon, right? It was not so long ago.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't shown anything. They've got to show something, like for sure, 100%. They're showing something soon.
If development's going well, it's time to show it off.
He's said that so many times too.
Right.
I think
either
did he have a comment of why it wasn't shown off at E3? That might have been somebody.
Well, I feel like Astral Chain is enough reason to not show it last year.
Yeah.
You're focused on Astral Chain. It's that simple. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I do think now is the time to show off Bayonetta 3. I wouldn't be surprised to see it at a January Nintendo Direct. That's honestly a good prediction right there. So, we'll see with that. Guy you don't know, I'm hoping for a new 2D Metroid in 2020. I don't think Mercury Steam has been working on much else since Samus Return's release, so I think they could still be working with Nintendo on something. I think Mercury Steam's probably been working on the 2D Metroid. I do also hope it comes out in 2020. We did discuss it earlier, Brandon. I kind of see it happening. Second half of the year makes sense. I think it could take up like a Link's Awakening spot, something along those lines. It really wouldn't surprise me. And on the note of that, of like games taking up similar spots to this year that just passed, it wouldn't shock me if Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition takes up the Fire Emblem Three Houses spot.
Interesting.
Maybe not exactly that time, but late summer, like a late summer title.
Mid-July.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see that.
Because it is a remaster, right? Like maybe Nintendo saves that as one of their.
It's not a remaster. It's a remake.
Remake.
Difference.
Thank you. That is an important distinction. It is a remake. So, I mean, how big of a deal do you think Nintendo's treating this as? Like, I feel like a remake is inherently not as big of a deal as a whole new game. I mean, in some cases it kind of is. It's close to it, but not necessarily. And Xenoblade normally doesn't take up like the October, November spot, right? Like there's, it's gonna be Nintendo's third or fourth most important game of the year. It's not gonna be their first or second, right?
No.
So, I don't see Xenoblade taking up the October or November slot. Maybe I doubt it's gonna be December because if they revealed it already, it makes more sense for it to be coming out earlier than later.
Yeah.
That's why summer makes the most sense to me. Late summer.
I can see that.
Yeah. So and I don't know when Bravely Default 2 would come out. They could be a month apart. It's not technically like a first party game, it's a third party game, but Nintendo's publishing it, right? So or like partially publishing it. It's kind of weird how that works out, but that I could for example Dragon Quest 11, if I remember correctly, wasn't too far off from a couple other major Nintendo games. So it's not like we couldn't see like Bravely Default 2 come out and then 2 or 3 weeks later Xenoblade Chronicles comes out.
Wasn't that September for Dragon Quest 11? There was a bunch of games that came out in September.
Yeah, it was very jam packed.
Packed game or packed for games.
Yeah. So maybe we could see that. Have we talked about any new games yet?
We are on the subject.
Yeah, and we still haven't really talked about Breath of the Wild yet. I mean, we've talked about what we think about Breath of the Wild for a while. We've mentioned it throughout the discussion. I mean, I guess we could talk about that. I do have a couple of new game ideas we could talk. We'll save that for the end part now. But we'll briefly go over Breath of the Wild. We could go forever about it, but
briefly go
over Breath of the Wild.
Like that's gonna happen.
Yeah. So Breath of the Wild 2. Here's my hard prediction. It will have a blowout reveal at E3. It will come out holiday 2020, and it will be Nintendo's big game of the year. There may be another big game of the year, but Breath of the Wild is the big game. Okay, it's the big one.
Yeah.
I'm really, my only point of contention in myself, like what I'm debating, is if there will be a reveal before, like another time where Breath of the Wild shows up before E3. We've talked about this before.
No.
I don't know why, but just like the passage of time has made me feel a little differently as well. I feel like maybe in the Spring Nintendo Direct they could do something where they don't even show gameplay, or they have something that's very like cryptic, that's like you know, like Zelda's like saying, Link, I need your help, or something, you know, like a little snippet, like less than what we got at E3, but something about the game, and then coming 2020 in a Spring Nintendo Direct, because it seems a little weird to me that they would wait a whole year without talking about it. But at the same time, we've gone this far already. Maybe they can just wait till E3. Hard to say.
I think they'll just wait till E3. Honestly, I don't think we'll see anything of it until.
So, what is it that has changed? Because I know your opinion has changed on this topic, because we've talked about this a few weeks ago, and you were actually saying that it could be a Spring Nintendo Direct, if I remember correctly.
Did I?
I think you did. So, what has sort of swayed you towards thinking this now as opposed to before?
See, like, I can't remember what my thought process was before.
You're a different person.
I'm just a completely different person.
Yeah.
Just, life has all changed.
Yeah.
Honestly, just not seeing it at the Game Awards was just blew everything, all my expectations away. The Game Awards in general, just what Nintendo showed blew all my expectations. Just it destroyed them.
Man, what if Nintendo just decides to just completely wreck us in January? They have a January Nintendo Direct. They show Zelda 2020, Smash character, other Smash character, Metroid Prime Trilogy HD, Bayonetta 3 trailer, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition trailer. Like, they just kind of like blow our minds, and then they're like, "Hey,
I think that would be smart, honestly."
Well, smart isn't always, you know, the smart thing.
I don't think that they should blow all their cards in the January Direct. They never do. They always hold back. They gotta have other directs, other presentations. They don't want to overshadow things coming out in the first half of the year with all the big things coming out in the second half.
Stop making sense. No. Well,
it's a terrible idea.
We don't need sense here. How could you?
Even Nintendo.
How could you?
Their crazy Nintendo logic I don't think would do that.
Right. No, I think you're right. I agree that it's likely that the January Nintendo Direct does not have Zelda in it. It's possible they have a couple games they talk about that come out in the summertime during the Spring Nintendo Direct, but I don't expect to see, for example, Super Mario Odyssey 2 or Breath of the Wild in a January Nintendo Direct. I wouldn't surprise me if we see Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, though, or Bravely Default 2, or No More Heroes 3. Maybe Shin Megami Tensei 5. I think that could possibly come out this year.
I
finally.
don't think they'll show Xenoblade. Well, if it's coming out in July, maybe.
Yeah.
I just don't see the point of showing it again so soon. It's a remake. So they could talk about it in the Spring Direct or E3.
It could be a Spring
Spring
Direct thing. I see that.
January's a little too early. I don't see the point of bringing it up again.
What will be in the January Nintendo Direct?
They'll definitely mention Animal Crossing, I think. I don't think they'll mention anything important. They
Smash,
might
Animal Crossing, Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
Mm-hmm. They might actually mention the Direct. They've done that before, very, very rarely. Mentioned or announced other Directs in a Nintendo presentation.
I don't think so.
Direct.
I don't think so.
It's very unlikely.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen.
But there's a small possibility. They've done it before.
I think that only happens if it's like coming really soon. If the Direct is in January, I don't think they'll talk about there being an Animal Crossing Direct when the game's coming out in March. I think the Animal Crossing Direct will happen either late February, early March. So my thinking is that they won't mention that at all. They'll just give us another trailer on Animal Crossing. So they're gonna announce some games though, Brandon. So what are they gonna announce? You don't think they'll have any new announcements?
No, they definitely will. I think Pikmin. Pikmin something. Probably Pikmin 3 Deluxe.
What about
Honestly,
Wave Race?
I don't think a Pikmin trilogy is a thing. Wave Race?
Wave Race.
Wave Race, you beat me.
Or Kid Icarus. Like
no.
Something.
Kid Icarus is not happening.
Or F-Zero. I just think there's got to be some sort of announcement. There's got to be something new, right? So like in my predictions video, I talked about maybe Wave Race, but you could easily sub Wave Race for F-Zero, maybe, or even Excite Truck bike series. Like some sort of racing game I think needs to come out from Nintendo. I don't think it's going to be another Mario Kart. No. I think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is doing fine right now. I think it's time Nintendo focuses on another one of their awesome racing franchises that have been underutilized for years. So I'm really pulling for an F-Zero Wave Race this year. I'm really hoping for that. Maybe that's something that could also come up in a spring Nintendo Direct and come out summertime. But I'm hoping that some of those announcements start coming. And the thing is, the January Nintendo Direct may not be that big, right? Like it may cover things that happen all before summer ends, right? So the January to May period is when I think the January Nintendo Direct could really cover. So obviously Smash, Animal Crossing, Tokyo Mirage Sessions, whatever comes out in February, if there is something coming out in February, be that a Pikmin 3 or a Skyward Sword HD or maybe even a Metroid Prime Trilogy HD. I think something like that could be announced. Shin Megami Tensei 5 I think could potentially come out before summertime. Maybe I'm crazy.
They haven't shown us anything of that game.
Yeah, that game was announced January 2017.
I think we might get a teaser trailer for that, but I don't think it will come out. I think it would be, if it comes out.
It's a third-party game, I'm pretty sure, so it's not like it's by the same rules as Nintendo.
I don't think they'd be like, here's the very first time you've ever seen this game. It's coming out in 3 months.
Right. So
that'd be terrible marketing.
No, but maybe they finally like show it off in January. Maybe. There's got to be something big. It could be Shin Megami Tensei 5, maybe that big thing. There's gonna be some sort of.
It has to be something big necessarily, because we're
well, depends on what you define as big. Like for me, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition in the Spring Nintendo Direct for 2019 was big, right? For some people, they just thought that was trash. To which I say, you're wrong, sir. But you know what I mean.
Wrong, yeah.
Like it kind of depends on what you like, I guess. I'm not a Shin Megami Tensei fan, but I could see that as being one of the bigger things, not the biggest thing.
Right. I think Smash.
Maybe Metroid Prime Trilogy HD is the big thing, because Nintendo knows we've been begging for that for a long time.
Well, let's think about it this way: if we have a Smash character, possible Smash DLC Wave 2,
but it would just be they would be showing us like numbers. They wouldn't show us gameplay or anything like
No. But
right, but that could come up. Yeah.
Right, so you got Smash.
Yes.
We're thinking Bayonetta 3 might be there. You're saying Shin Megami Tensei 5, Pikmin 3, Metroid Prime Trilogy HD. Those are all big. Every single one of those is big. That's 5 big things. Like, that's a lot.
I don't know if all of that.
I don't think we need anything big.
Well, Animal Crossing's got to show up too.
Animal Crossing, but I don't think it's going to be anything important because they're going to have a direct, so it's going to be like, not of info. But that's 5 big things. Those are all pretty big. I don't think it's a January Direct. This is not like a Spring Direct or E3.
This is where I'm gonna pull up that my predictions thing again. So because this could help us organize our thoughts a little bit more. So hopefully you can see this, Brandon, on the stream in a moment. So. And again, guys, I'm showing this off. This isn't me saying this is exactly how the year is going to carry out. But this kind of helps organize my thoughts a little bit better on the possibilities on how the year could carry out, right? Brandon, when you see it, let me know. I know, because I know you're actually watching this live, so it's a little different.
I see it.
Yeah. So first off, if this were to happen, how happy would you be?
I'm still looking over everything. That would be a pretty awesome year. That would be. Now,
how impossible is this?
I'm looking at Wave Race and just like, I don't know about that.
Well, that would be August.
I just don't think Wave Race is gonna come back, to be honest. But
I hate you. How could you say such a thing?
F-Zero would have come back before Wave Race.
How could you? I love Wave Race.
I don't think Shin Megami Tensei will come out that early.
How could you?
Anything of it.
Screw you. What do you know?
I can see Pokemon Diamond Pearl. I think.
I hate you. I don't want that game to come out.
This is possible. I think, other than the fact that I think Shin Megami Tensei 5 is not going to be in that spot, and Wave Race is not happening.
I hate you.
Other than that, I can see all of this.
Wave Race is amazing. What do you know?
I just don't think Nintendo cares to bring that back at the moment.
Stop hurting my feelings.
I think they would focus
my
on
tears.
F-Zero if they were gonna bring back
my tears will create all the waves for the race in Wave Race.
Would you really be happy if they bring back Wave Race before F-Zero?
I'd be happy if any of them come.
Yes, but you know what people, you know.
Okay,
People
if
like
all right, there is tiers to this. F-Zero is higher than Wave Race, but I'd be really happy about Wave Race. I'd be really happy about Wave Race, and I'd be really happy about Pikmin. Not as happy as Wave Race, and I would.
Is Pikmin on that list? Oh, it's gone.
No, it's not. Pikmin is not on that list. Pikmin could easily be there. I need me Wave Race, but I'm not gonna lie to you, Brandon. I need F-Zero more. I need F-Zero is the best racing game franchise ever, and I'm right. It is so good.
I have no opinion on the matter.
It's a fact. There's no opinions here. Obviously, I'm joking, guys. But no, F-Zero GX is my favorite racing game of all time. It is my favorite racing game of all time. I want them to make another amazing F-Zero so you could understand just how incredible this series is. So if I just don't know when. There's no reason for me to say, hey, F-Zero's coming. Neither is there for Wave Race, actually, besides a trademark coming out like within the last couple of years. So it could be maybe Wave Race, it could be F-Zero, it could be Excite Bike, it could be some sort like they could go back to their snowboarding series. I forgot the name of. So there is a few different things. I just think it's about time Nintendo uses one of their older racing franchises, because they have a few and they're all really good.
Isn't there? Is it 1080 or something?
Yeah, I think so. I never personally played them.
I played one on the Wii. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I played it at a friend's house for like 10 minutes. So.
Yeah. So, I hope something like that. And I don't think that would be something necessarily shown off in a January Nintendo Direct. It could be something that won't even be revealed until E3, right?
Yeah.
I could honestly, yeah, I could see an F-Zero or Wave Race showing up at E3.
That'd be hype. If F-Zero shows up, people lose their minds.
I'd flip my tables and shits. I'd be great. I'd be excited. I'd be so happy. I want that I want it so badly. So badly. But moving on. In terms of January Nintendo Direct, I do think, keeping our expectations in check. Definitely, I think Smash is for sure. Animal Crossing will show up. Tokyo Mirage Sessions, those are the obvious ones. At least one other port sort of thing, maybe Pikmin 3 or Skyward Sword HD. One of those I could sort of see happening. If they finally announce Metroid Prime Trilogy to come out right before E3, that'd be hype for the May period. That would be really cool to see. I think that would be a sick direct right there. If they also at some point bring up Bayonetta 3 or Shin Megami Tensei 5, that's huge. That's a really good start to the year. And then they also have a Spring Nintendo Direct, and at that point, they talk more about No More Heroes 3, Bravely Default 2, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. Maybe that's when they show off Bayonetta instead of, because I feel like you can't. I feel like what we just talked about for January Nintendo Direct, maybe Bayonetta's not there, and Shin Megami Tensei 5 is. Maybe you talk about Bayonetta 3 at the Spring Nintendo Direct, and then at E3, Breath of the Wild Blowout, announced F-Zero or Wave Race, fully feature these games. Had the Metroid Prime 4 teaser right at the end, and then maybe also announce Super Mario Odyssey 2.
Honestly, if
what could be a spring? It could be a spring direct announcement. Super Mario Odyssey 2.
That's what I was about to say. I think if they are going to announce Super Mario Odyssey 2, I think it'd be in the spring direct. I don't think it'd be at E3.
Okay, and if that happens, and I think you could be right. I just think that if that were to happen, there should be an E3 surprise game that's big. If we just go into E3 and everything we see are already previously announced games, that I don't see that. I think there's got to be something new there, and it may just be a Metroid Prime 4 teaser, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be an announcement of a new game, but something new for us to see that's a reveal, a gameplay reveal.
Okay.
Obviously, a Smash
character.
There will
be one, but I think the big thing, and another reason
it could be
why I
F-Zero.
think they'll show off Zelda again, is because I think the biggest thing about E3, I think, will be the fact that that's the next time we'll see Zelda, and that's when we'll get the big blowout. Because I don't think we'll see anything, as I said before, till E3. It's practically a new game announcement because all we know it is like this much, and the fact that it exists.
Man, if this is gonna
it's
be a good year.
slightly, we know slightly more about that than we did about Prime 4, except the fact that it's a sequel. But you get it, what I mean.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Like it's practically a new game announcement because we don't even know the name. We just know like the fact that it's a sequel. That's it.
So do you think we'll finally see the Retro Studios game this year?
God, if there even exists, if it even exists. Jesus Christ.
It's been so long. I think if they're finally gonna reveal Nintendo Land 2, this is the time. And I'm not joking about Nintendo Land 2.
Oh, I know. You keep bringing it up.
Yeah, well, because I believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about the Monita thing. Like that artwork it looks like Monita. So behind the Mario statue, it looks like Monita. And
I have to say, the only thing that I've ever the only theory, I haven't seen that many theories though, that actually kind of was like, okay, I could see that, is your Monita theory. That's the only one. Everything else, I'm just like, that doesn't make any sense.
It's the only thing that matches up to the artwork. So, there's nothing else that makes sense. Literally nothing. Because if you look behind the Mario statue, there is no space for legs. Like you can see, there's nothing there. Like you see the arm, there's nothing there for a body. Because you can see, in between. The only reason that would make sense is because if it were Monita, all Monita is a hand and a rod, a rod for the hand and a rod sticking up to the head. That's all there would be space for. And that's all we kind of see behind the statue. So I have a video on that. Just look up it on the channel, guys. But it's Nintendo Land 2. If that is why Monita was in that artwork, I think that'll be announced this year as well. I could see that coming up in
By the way,
Spring
if there's a
Nintendo Direct.
Nintendo Land 2, I definitely don't think that'd be a Super Mario Party because I feel like they have the same audience. You know what I'm saying? Like their
Nintendo Land 2 would be so much better too.
Yeah, honestly.
It'd be so much better.
I'd be so much more hyped for that.
Yeah.
But I feel like those are very conflicting audiences, so I don't think they release both in the same year. You know what I mean?
Well, you could be right, but you also should take into consideration that Nintendo doesn't always do things that make sense. Like New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe came out in January, and then 5 months later, Mario Maker 2 came out. So.
Yeah, I just feel like the difference for those is one's a port, and
I'd like to see Mario
secondly,
Strikers.
Mario Maker technically is a 2D Mario, but it's completely different in terms of what it is as a game. Whereas these are very, very... I don't know, they're both party games developed by Nintendo. I don't know. I feel like Mario's different. Also, Mario just is Mario, so...
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think that this is the year to announce Super Mario Odyssey, too. We thought they were teasing it last year with the Mario image. Maybe they were. They just weren't revealing it then. So,
I never quite believed they were announcing it in this. Well, I never did. I think the highest I ever got was like a 30% confidence.
Okay.
That was like at the peak.
Okay.
So,
I see Lucas G
I'm
has
right
brought
around
up
there
Paper Mario
for-
in the chat.
Paper Mario. I just don't see it. I don't see Paper Mario this year. I don't know why. I just don't. But I'm at like 35% confidence in Super Mario Odyssey 2. Maybe if we don't get them, maybe we get Paper Mario instead. We're gonna get something Mario for sure. We do.
Mario
At
Strikers.
least one or two things. Dude, that'd be hype.
Okay.
Mario Strikers supercharged.
Okay. Okay, so let's go over my list. And don't forget the order, because the order is, it's just so hard to predict these things, right?
Yeah.
But pulling out my list again, okay? So for this year, obviously Tokyo Mirage Sessions, that's a given,
100%.
right? Metroid Prime Trilogy HD at some point.
Probably.
Okay. Animal Crossing will not be delayed.
No.
Again? No? Okay.
For sure, it's not gonna be delayed.
No More Heroes 3 will come out in 2020 as promised.
Yeah, I think so.
Will we finally
Seem pretty
see?
confident on that.
Will we finally see Shin Megami Tensei 5 in playable form?
We gotta, right? Like you think by now they'd have
And
something.
will it come out this year?
God. No. I don't know because I feel like they were suggesting they were just like really early on in development when they first showed it. So
But that
I could.
was January 2017.
True. I have no idea how ambitious this game is. How
Like
long does it
January
normally take? How
2020 would
big
be
their
3 years
team is.
since it was announced.
Mhm.
Right, that's
I
not
just have no
necessarily the
idea.
start of
Like,
development. You gotta assume they started development a little before when they announced it,
yeah.
right? Maybe not like a year, but like at least a few months, right?
I feel like they gotta have it. It's gotta be ready, right? Like you think, unless they're having some issues, and that's why they didn't
Unless they're
show
having
it.
issues.
They haven't really commented on it at all, really, have they? I don't think so.
Not too much. I mean,
I didn't see
there was
anything.
actually 2 trailers that came out for Shin Megami Tensei 5. There's another one that came out late 2017. So,
But none of them gameplay. Just all
yeah. So,
concept and stuff.
how do you say on that one? And I think, what about Nintendo Land?
I don't even know. Retro Studios, I don't know what they're doing with their lives.
Just give up on their. I mean, they're obviously working on. I think whatever Retro Studios is working on will be showing off this year. Besides Metroid, obviously. And
We
then,
say that every year, and it never happens.
right. Well, this year it's gonna be right.
This year for sure.
And I think there's a good chance it's Nintendo Land too. As much as I know people hate that, but I'm just telling you what I think.
I'm
know.
saying it's 50-50 on whether or not we see this thing. Because every year we're like, for sure, 100%. It's been like 3 years, and
Yeah.
this at least.
So I don't know if you noticed, but in my little predictions image, right, I have 5 Smash Balls. Those are just kind of like for when I think a character could be revealed. I have 5, one of them being the final character in the Fighters Pass, suggesting I want to expect 4 more reveals this year, which I think is pretty appropriate.
That makes sense. I think that's probably right.
We could get one more reveal, early 2021.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much what I expect. Yeah. And then I guess after that, Bravely Default 2, that's already confirmed for 2020. When do you think that'll come out? Do you think summertime, similar to Octopath Traveler?
I could definitely see it being summertime. It's a good time for RPGs. And it doesn't get overshadowed by all the big stuff coming later in the year. So I definitely think summer is when they're gonna have all like the mid-tier games come out.
Okay.
Because summer's usually slow. It's before all the big heavy hitters.
Yeah.
And it's a good time to release games that are really good, and very critically acclaimed, but not necessarily mainstream.
So I want to address a comment by Lucas G in the chat. So he's saying that 2 directs before E3 seems very unrealistic. I mean, I understand your point because we normally don't get 2 major Nintendo Directs before E3. I think one of these Directs could be like a Direct Mini, which there is precedent for. What do you think, Brandon?
I feel like 2 Directs before E3 isn't unrealistic when you have a January Direct, especially since the January Directs are generally...
Let's refer to the Nintendo Direct archive. So, in 2019, I'll put the Direct archive up here so we can look at. We refer to this all the time. So, in 2019, we started off with the February Nintendo Direct. We got the Pokemon Direct, Mario Maker Direct, another 2 Pokemon Directs, which has never happened before. We got 2 Pokemon Directs in 2019, the E3 Direct and Spring Nintendo Direct. So there was only 1 major Nintendo Direct in the year leading up to the E3 Direct, but in between that we got a Mario Maker Direct and 2 Pokemon Directs. Okay, so that was 2019, but that was in February, right? So let's look at 2018. So in 2018 we got a Smash Direct in November, right? Spring Nintendo, Fall Nintendo Direct for the September's time. I don't care about Dragalia Lost, no offense, guys. Then a Smash Bros. Direct in August, an E3 Direct, a March Nintendo Direct, and a January Direct Mini. So there is a Mini Nintendo Direct in January, then a March Nintendo Direct, and then the E3 Direct in 2018. So that was 2 Directs, but it was a Mini Direct, not a major Direct. 2017, Xenoblade 2 Direct, Animal Crossing Mobile, whatever, September Direct. The only thing that's like super consistent is the September Nintendo Direct and the E3 Direct. Even though they didn't even call it an E3 Direct here, which is why it's not in the archive, but they did have an E3 presentation. Oh no, yeah, it's right there. No, that's April. Yeah. So, yeah, hard to say, honestly. Although, so actually, to be clear here, so we're looking at the archive. This only shows directs, right? So if it wasn't listed as a direct, it wouldn't be a direct. So in 2017, we had the Nintendo Switch presentation in January. Okay, so it's not listed here, but it was effectively a super major direct, right? In January. Then there's a Fire Emblem Direct. Then in April is a Nintendo Direct. So in terms of precedent, having an earlier event to reveal everything, which they did in 2017, and if you don't believe me, I'll pull up a tab on that in case there's some doubt about there being a Nintendo Switch presentation in January.
Is there? That presentation is massive.
Yeah, but I mean there was doubt, so I'm just gonna putting it up here. Oh, this is a stream. This is from some dude. I want a Nintendo one.
The official one, please.
Please. No, stop it. Stop it, ad. Oh, this is the Nintendo UK. Yeah, here we go. There we go. So, January 13th. So, just it's for some visual representation. So, as of the Switch era, right? So, there was a January event. And then in April there was a Nintendo Direct. So that is the closest thing to what we're talking about for 2020. And the thing is, right, and that kind of goes to my point. So while I understand that if you compare it to 2018 and 2019, maybe those years don't quite lead us to believe there would be 2 Nintendo Directs before E3 major ones, because 2018 was a direct mini and in a normal Nintendo Direct, right? So it wasn't 2 full-scale major directs. And then this year, 2019, we had a direct in February. So, and that was it. There was just some game-specific directs. But in 2017, we had the Nintendo Switch presentation, which is bigger than a normal Nintendo Direct, right? And then we had an April Nintendo Direct, and then the E3 one. 2020 has been said by some leakers and such that, or implied by insiders, that it would be comparable to 2017. And I agree. 2020, I think, is going to be one of the biggest years for the Nintendo Switch. Why do I think that? Not just because leakers are saying that, right? I'm basing this off like my own, intuition and research. Because the next-gen systems are upon us. Nintendo's going to have to come out with guns swinging. Well, we already know about Breath of the Wild 2, right? Like, that seems to have a pretty good chance. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, Bayonetta 3, Shin Megami Tensei 5. If the merchandising listings are true, Pearl and Diamond remakes could potentially be in the works. I have reason to believe that Mario Odyssey 2 is also late into development. All of these things could definitely culminate into a very strong year for the Nintendo Switch in 2020. But also, typically the third year in a console's life cycle is the year where they really hit their stride and we see their strongest games. This is the third year for the Nintendo Switch. So for those reasons, I do think this could be a year where it may require an earlier January Nintendo Direct, a spring Nintendo Direct, then E3, then a fall Nintendo Direct, and maybe they'll do something at the Game Awards. We'll see. So I think there's a good chance we could see a January and spring Nintendo Direct.
Yeah. And that mini Direct was not that mini, to be honest.
It was still better, mate. Yeah, they got
a pretty big Direct. They had a bunch of stuff in that.
Actually, yeah, what did they have in it? We can look at that.
I knew they had Dark Souls.
That was big for me. I was super hyped about that. We can look it up right here.
Other ones, I forget what they were.
I'll show you.
Big ones.
Yeah, I'll show you right here. So this is that spring Nintendo Direct in 2018, right? That was in place of a major Nintendo Direct. I mean, here you got The World Ends With You, Pokémon Tournament Deluxe, Kirby, Hyrule Warriors, Mario Tennis, whatever this is, free update for Mario Odyssey, SNK Heroines, Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle, Payday. These aren't all necessarily announced. It's just some announcement for that particular game, not necessarily the first time they were announced. Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, and Dark Souls Remastered. That's pretty good.
Several of them were though.
Yeah,
I think most of those
that
were
yeah.
announcements.
That's pretty good, but it was technically a mini, not a full-on scale direct. But you know, I think that could still take up kind of pretty much the role I've been referring to with my predictions, though. So I feel pretty good about it. Yeah. Lucas is saying it's the 4th year, though. Is it? So Switch came out
2017
March 2017. So March 2020 would be its 3-year anniversary.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's the 3rd year. So, yep.
4 years would be March 2021.
Yeah. Yeah, March 2021 will be the 4-year anniversary.
So depending on how you look at it, I think he's looking at it as it's been 3 years, therefore this is the 4th year.
Well, 2017 would be the first year,
at it,
right? 2018,
yeah, we're
2019.
looking at it as it's the 3rd year anniversary, therefore it's the 3rd year. I think it depends on how you look
perspective
at it, yeah.
Yep. Yep. So some people have been bringing up Mario Kart 9. Yeah, like Isaiah B. Any predictions on Mario Kart 9? I want Mario Kart 9, but I really personally think Nintendo should bring out one of their other racing franchises first, as I've mentioned, such as F-Zero or Wave Race. But
the Mario Kart team is the one that did Splatoon, right?
Yes.
Splatoon 2?
Yes.
So they were working on that.
Wait, no. So no, that's wrong. That is wrong. ARMS. Mario Kart team worked on ARMS, not Splatoon's another team.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
sorry.
think the Mario Kart team helps with Splatoon now. I don't remember.
There was Splatoon content in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
That's not right.
We can look it up. Splatoon. What should I look? What should I search? Splatoon.
I think you're right. I think they made ARMS.
I know that. Yeah. The Mario Kart Deluxe team also worked on ARMS. Yeah. Splatoon development team is a separate development team. If they helped out each other, I'm not sure.
I don't think so. I think I was just confused.
Okay. So where were we? Right, like Mario Kart 9. Like, could that be happening? I mean, that Mario Kart ARMS team is working on something, right? Because ARMS came out. But which EAD is it, or EPD, whatever they're called now? Like, have they come out with anything since ARMS? I think that would give us a good understanding of, you know, because if ARMS came out in 2017, so conceivably, potentially they could come out with a game, you know, in 2020 as well. I'm just trying to see which team worked on it. ARMS is such a tough game to look up, because when you put in ARMS in the Google search, you don't always get ARMS. You get ARMS.
Nintendo Switch.
Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out which Nintendo team worked on it. But maybe I should just look up the team that made Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
I think it will
easier.
just say EAD or whatever. I think in the Google search, you'd have to go like a little bit deeper than that.
They don't tell specifically who. Oh, that's annoying. I need to figure this out.
Legs. The sequel. Legs. Yes, that's what they've been working on.
Let me see. Damn it. Maybe they'll tell me. I'm on a wiki here. I'll put this up so you guys can look at what I'm looking at. I'm just on the wiki.
As far as I know, they haven't been working on anything since ARMS.
This doesn't help me at all.
Something.
No, this is wrong.
The Mario Kart team might help out with some other games. I don't know though.
Yeah, I just don't know.
A lot of the internal teams help each other out, as far as I know.
Yeah,
so.
But I haven't heard of anything from that specific team yet, so I feel like it makes sense. Because actually, Mario Kart 8 came out in 2014, right? ARMS came out in 2017. So if you want to go by that window, the next like kind of game that whatever that team was working on, what could be 2020, maybe Mario Kart 9. I'm of the frame of mind that it would be something else, but maybe Mario Kart 9.
Mario Kart 9 would be a really good game to battle the next gen systems with, to be honest.
Right.
But,
Tough to say.
Trying to think.
NAK saying legs. Lucas is saying legs. Legs. That's what it's got to be.
Mario Kart 9 could be a thing in the next couple years, but I just don't see it being this year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, another thing we haven't talked about at all is some sort of enhanced Switch.
We haven't talked about that. We're at the 2-hour mark already. We could have ended the podcast without talking about it. Yeah, so for Mario Kart 9, let's put that down as a maybe. Here's my prediction. There will be some sort of Nintendo-published racing game coming out this year. Some sort of Nintendo-published racing game. Whether it's Mario Kart 9 or F-Zero or Wave Race, some sort of Nintendo racing, which I need because honestly, I am a big fan of arcade racers. I do not like these other kinds of, simulation things.
I will not predict that because I don't feel nearly as confident as you do that a racer will come.
I'm just using the force to sort of, see into the future here.
Yes.
There isn't really any hard evidence for me to suggest that. Besides, I just think it's a good time to do it. That's really it in terms of why I'm predicting that. So it isn't like one of my most well-researched, confident predictions here. It's more of a gut thing. So we'll see. Could totally be wrong. But yeah, let's talk about the Nintendo Switch Pro, or as I prefer to call it, the Nintendo Switch Plus, which I'm going to show about a little bit. I did call it the Nintendo Switch Lite. I did say it would be called the Nintendo Switch Lite, and it was called the Nintendo Switch Lite. I think most of us will agree, though, that with the Switch Pro, that it's not going to be called the Pro, right? I'm guessing Plus. But
Plus makes a lot of sense. I mean, we talked about Plus and Minus. The problem with Minus is that felt like less, which is why we went on to the Lite.
And that was
idea. Right. Yes, and you were mostly the person who was. I just kind of piggybacked off of you. I do think Plus is a very, very good name. I don't think there's any other real. They could call it the Advanced. Maybe they go after the Game Boy.
Nintendo Switch Advanced. Yeah, they're just.
I could see that.
Yeah, that would be neat.
Because Plus
or Nintendo Switch SP.
Okay. I think the Plus and Minus idea was cool because it was the Plus and Minus like controllers, but now without the Minus, it's kind of just Plus. Woo.
Yeah.
I think Advanced would be a really cool name for it.
Definitely. I could see that. It would be kind of more of a. It'd be a throwback kind of name, which I guess Light kind of is as well.
Light's a pretty big throwback.
It is, but at the same time, Light also feels a little bit modern at the same time, right? Like,
true.
I
feel like they kind of named it that just because the DS Lite was such a success, honestly, and people kind of understand what that is.
It was very well understood.
Like
the messaging was very clear.
I feel like Advance might be very understood. Like everybody knows the Game Boy.
Well, the Game Boy Advance technically was a next-gen version of a Game Boy Color, right?
True.
So
it was kind of the next gen.
The messaging
There's also
there.
This weird in-between gen because the DS came out like shortly after it. It wasn't even that long.
True, it was
a very
Game Boy
gen.
Color. I mean, Game Boy Advance had like a 4-year cycle. It was weird, but it was jam-packed with a lot of games. So that is an interesting point.
It was backwards compatible, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Each handheld has been at least one generation backwards compatible. But what was I gonna say? I like Advanced, but I'm definitely gonna stick with Plus over Advanced.
Okay.
It could.
I just don't like Plus. Just sounds lame.
Okay. Well, maybe it could be something else.
The Plus and Minus is cool.
What else could there be? I feel like it's got to be a little shorter.
Yeah, Advanced might be a little long.
Yeah.
If you're going for that, maybe Plus would be a good option then.
Or SP.
I don't see Plus as a bad option. I think SP is confusing.
So
Like, nobody
Plus.
knows what
Switch Plus.
SP
It's
is
4
confusing.
letters just like light, you know?
True. Get the 4 letters going.
I mean,
yeah,
maybe Switch X.
I'd like it to be. No.
Like Switch Extra, or Switch X as like bigger, Switch XL.
I don't think
They
it would be
did do the
bigger, though.
XL with the DS.
I honestly, I don't think it would be bigger. I think the screen might be bigger, but I don't think the unit itself would be bigger. Because it's already.
Yeah,
on
I
the
don't think it
verge
should
of
get
being too
bigger
big
either.
Right now, it'd be terrible. That'd be bad. Like people would not like.
I mean, I
it if it was
agree.
bigger. So I don't think XL's a good name because that's.
All right, here's
also,
another
like,
here's another one. Switch Nice.
Because the 3DS XL is not any more powerful than the
Switch U.
normal Switch. Switch U, God.
It's a personalized Switch for you.
Oh my God.
No, not all about
If
it.
anything, that fits the Switch Lite's description more.
I'm gonna stick with Switch Plus.
Okay. I do think Switch Plus seems the most likely, but I like the idea of Switch Advance.
I mean, it's cool. I'm there with you. That's definitely would be a cool name.
But
for sure.
it is the marketing on that is Plus is really boring, but it gets the message across.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. So maybe it should be called like Switch Extravaganza.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah.
But yeah, do we think it's coming out though?
Right, we're talking about the name, but we're not even
somehow.
talking
We're
about the
not even-
features or what it is.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about like anything else.
Yeah, I see Mastermind's asking what did he miss. So I'll just briefly summarize and then we'll get into like the other stuff about Switch Plus Advanced Extravaganza. Well, we've talked about a lot. We've talked about Smash characters, right? We kind of like the idea of there being a lot of Nintendo-esque characters. And we think the Fire Pass character will be revealed in a January Nintendo Direct. We talked about there being in a January Nintendo Direct and a March Nintendo Direct potentially because it's going to be a big year. 2020 is going to be maybe the biggest year for the Switch since 2017. We talked about Breath of the Wild 2 coming out holiday 2020. We talked about maybe there being a Metroid Prime 4 teaser at E3. It's maybe. I'm 50-50 on it. Brandon's 35% on it. We also somehow, for whatever reason, believe Prime Trilogy could come out this year somehow. Maybe. Fingers crossed. We also think Bayonetta 3 will finally get revealed in terms of gameplay, right? Shin Megami Tensei 5 may also finally get a gameplay trailer as well. Mario Odyssey 2 we think could also be announced this year. And
30% on that.
For Pearl and Diamond remakes, we both think it's possible. Brandon, you're more confident on Pearl and Diamond remakes than I am, actually.
Depends on how confident you are.
45%.
Oh wow, yeah, I'm definitely like a 70.
Okay, yeah. So, there's that, and that's pretty much a brief summary of what we've sort of covered so far. But going to the Switch Plus, I think it'll come out similar time to the Switch Lite this year, September-ish time.
So you do think it's gonna come out?
Yeah, no, I do. Yeah, I think Breath of the Wild 2, whatever it's actually going to be called, is going to look amazing. It's going to be the best looking Switch game by far. And I think that's going to utilize the Switch Plus. They're going to take advantage of that extra power. That's also another reason why I feel like a Metroid Prime 4 teaser would make a lot of sense this year. If they do have that Switch Plus, show that trailer off, but with the Switch Plus level of graphical fidelity. And I don't know if the Switch Plus may actually be announced sooner, just so they can have that to sort of be an element of the of sort of an element to consider when we're looking at the
E3.
games at E3. So,
right. Have the treehouse and playing everything on the Switch Plus.
Yeah, maybe, and I think that could potentially happen. And also with that, if we get a Switch Plus, I wouldn't shock me if we see a price drop for the normal Switch holiday time. Like if it's not a price drop, a bundle, right, where the Switches come with a particular download code for a game.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that depends on the pricing of the Switch Pro.
Oh, I think $400.
See, my problem with 400 is that there's speculation that the PS5 would be 400.
Ooh, that would be bad.
That would be bad.
Yeah.
And honestly, the tech, with how far it's advanced, like, the Switch is from 2015 technology. The very next year, they had the technology that's in what in the Switch version that has twice the battery life. They had that actually in, yeah, I think the very next year they had that out. And that's like a stripped down version. It was either a year or a year after that. That was a stripped down version. Didn't have any of the extra features. It's just better battery life. They had that like right afterwards. They've had like 4 revisions of that chip. It's like so far beyond what's in the Switch. It's not even funny. And
But it's just
like they don't
this
even need
normal
to put
Switch
in
is at
good stuff.
300 now. Do you think they would actually sell a Switch Plus at $300?
No,
'Cause-
I think they might sell it at 350.
Okay, $349.99.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't think they want to have it at 400 with the PS4 or the PS5. Excuse me. It's gonna be at 400.
It's gonna be nuts.
Then again, it might just be 500. Like we don't know. Because the Xbox Series X is 100% gonna be $500. I'm just saying that right now. Like, there's no way it's not.
Yeah,
$500.
400. I mean, I could see Sony doing that to compete with Xbox. Like they're very like competitive. They do some crazy stuff. The thing about Sony and Microsoft, since they're such bigger companies, they can afford to do some crazier things. Like, even though the PS5 may come out at potentially $400, it's not gonna actually be $400. It's gonna be like a $600 system, and Sony will just take a loss in sales. Maybe 600 is a bit of an exaggeration, but it's gonna cost them more to make than what
the
they're gonna
Xbox
sell
Series
it for.
X probably will too. The speculation is the PS5 won't be as powerful, by the way.
Right.
As the
I heard
Series
that
X.
recently.
That's why it would be cheaper. Yeah. But that's not really important to the discussion. The point is, like, we're thinking 400 might be the price. They might go 450 though. They might do that, just $50 cheaper. Honestly, I think that would be smarter to have it closer to the Xbox Series X.
If they could get the PS5 at 400, that would be really good for Sony, because that's like the price of consoles now.
Yeah.
Like
It's just-
because that's the thing. Xbox One X, you want to buy it now, it's $400, right? Right?
Is it? It was 500 when it launched. I think it might be 400 now. PS4 Pro was 400. I think they have it on sale for like 300, 350.
I'm going to Amazon.
I don't know. They have sales sometimes. It might not be on
Xbox
sale
One
right
X.
now. It was 500 when it launched, though, I believe. The PS4 Pro was 400 when it launched.
So looks like you can find an Xbox One X for. Yeah, this price is very like crazy. Okay, I'm going to Xbox.com because.
They'll probably sell it for 500 there.
Well, yeah, but that's like their standard price, right? So.
Yeah, that was the launch price. Mastermind all ew, Xbox One X. Xbox One X is an amazing console.
Of course, they wouldn't have the
terms of,
price on
like,
the front page. No, they do. No, they do.
terms.
Yeah, they're selling Xbox One X bundled with Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order for $350.
It's gone down a lot. I mean, they have to.
They
gotta have it go
slashed down their prices.
Yeah, they gotta have that go down
Yeah.
because they can't. I mean,
That's
there's no point buying
huge,
Xbox
dude.
One X.
That's actually a really good deal. Xbox
good
One
deal.
X with Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. That kind
That's
of
a good deal.
that's tempting.
Xbox One X, as far in terms of like how well built a console is, in general,
Check it out,
it's
guys.
the best out right now.
They have different bundles here. It's pretty cool. They're all for $350.
I wouldn't buy it just because the Series X is coming out next year. I'm getting that
Yeah.
day one.
Maybe that's why. That's why they're at this price right now.
But you could get it, enjoy it for a year, and trade it in probably for like 200 towards the next system.
Yeah,
I don't know why we're plugging Xbox One X right now, but
because
semi-relevant to the conversation.
semi-relevant to the conversation. It's cool.
I like the Xbox One X, especially with Game Pass. Game Pass is like my favorite thing now. I have it. It's amazing. I'm playing Outer Worlds. It's awesome. It's an amazing game. Got it on Game Pass. On PC though. If I had an Xbox One X, honestly, I'd play it on that instead.
I hate how
PlayStation
PlayStation's site doesn't tell me the price of their hardware. Like,
I imagine you can get a PS4 Pro for like 300 with a game now.
It really bothers me that they will not show me the price. I have to like go to buy, I think, to see the price. This is so silly. Buy systems and bundles. Hopefully this doesn't just show my credit card information.
Just
It's fine.
don't have it on screen.
Yeah,
when you look.
you guys can have my credit card information. $300 for a PS4. This is a normal No, I want a PS4 Pro. No, this is stupid.
Normal PS4. Who's selling a normal PS4 for 300? Nobody's gonna buy that.
Stupid.
Sony, what
PS4
are you doing?
Pro with Call of Duty Modern Warfare, $400. Okay.
Ridiculous. Overpriced.
I could see Switch Pro selling for 400 if it were to come out this year. Next year will be different though, so that's gonna be tough.
Honestly, I don't know that they need to.
Unless they start off with a bundle like immediately, like it's 400, but it comes with the game.
I could see that.
Yeah, like
That could happen.
like
I
a
just
Breath of
don't
the
think
Wild
that
2
they
bundle.
would sell just a
two
Switch
two
Plus
bundles.
for 400.
Nintendo Land bundle. No one's gonna buy that.
Why
Breath
would
of
you
the
bundle Nintendo Land with a Switch Plus? Like you're gonna bundle like some big
Breath of the Wild
graphic
2.
game. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that they would launch Switch for 400 just as the console. I mean that'd be just honestly I think that's too much. And I don't think they need to. I think that there's tech that's good enough that's not the newest tech, but it's years
350
past
just
what the
seems
Switch
like such
has.
a weird price for them to hit though. You know, like I kind of like it with the clean
350
100.
is a little bit weird.
I understand they did that with the Wii U, but also the Wii U was a flaming trash fire of a failure.
But I don't think the price at 350 was the issue there.
Yeah.
I could see 350 lower the normal Switch to 250, have the Switch Lite as 200. That could be their ladder.
Or maybe like
400 for
maybe
just the
Switch Lite
just
gets
the
the price
Switch
drop to
Plus?
180. Switch 250, Switch Plus 350.
There you go. That could happen. I
Yeah.
just think if it's 400, the Switch Plus better be amazing.
My reasoning for the Switch Lite going down to 180 is just that if you lower the base price for the Switch to 250, keep in mind that they're now selling the better versions of the regular Switch, right? Like that's an updated chip now, right? So like the value difference between the normal Switch and the Switch Lite if you lowered it down to 250, it's only a $50 difference at that point.
Yeah.
So the Switch Lite would lose a lot of its
And
value.
we usually see like with the 3DS and the new 3DS and the 3DS XLs, like they were 200. I think the new 3DS XL was 200 it came out, but like a year after, it always lowers them to like 180.
Yeah, so I could see it going like scaling, like almost scaling down a little bit. I have heard that
it would
maybe
follow in with the 3DS line.
so
of
either
models.
the price is maintained and Switch Plus comes out for 400, or
I think
Switch
that'd
Plus
be a
comes out at
mistake.
Switch Plus comes out at 350, and all the prices scale down a little bit. I have heard that Nintendo doesn't necessarily want to lower their prices though, but maybe by next year, once next gen systems come around, they will have to.
I think it would be a mistake to launch a Switch Plus at 400. Honestly, I think that's just too much money. I think at 350, there's a lot of people who would be willing to pick one up. Way more than the Xbox One X or PS4 Pro could have ever hoped
And
to have that kind of
it'd be
options.
great if they bundled
But
it.
400 is just too much. 400 is the price of a next generation system or a little bit under that.
Right. So if they did 400, they'd have to bundle it with the game, I think.
Yeah. If they bundle with the game, then they might
Breath
be able
of
to
the
get away
Wild
with it.
2 Switch Plus bundle.
That'd be a hell of a bundle. I'd pick that up day one.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think if they want to make what am I even saying? If they want to make the Nintendo Switch Plus more mainstream than the Xbox One X and PS4 Pro, it needs to be like 350, or it needs to be bundled with something good, something big, like Breath of the Wild 2. It needs to be 350 or bundle. I don't think they can launch it at 400, just the console. And
So
have it
at
be a big
350, what do you
success.
think we get for that? Is it just better graphics?
I think it'd be significantly better graphics. Obviously, you'd get that same battery life as the newer version of the Switch. Maybe a little bit lower, just because they might want to push the system a bit. So maybe you get like an hour. Or
I
two
think the
less
Switch Plus
than
would
that
come
one.
bundled with a Pro Controller. No, I'm wrong.
That could happen. I think if it was 400, it might come with bundled with the Pro Controller, but not at 350. I think the dock. I don't think it would cost like them any money to make a dock with an.
Okay, here's a very
Ethernet
weird
port.
Nintendo decision. Hear me out. No, it's not. I'm wrong. No, don't. I'm not gonna even say it. I'm just gonna say I'm wrong.
I think it would have an
You know what I was gonna
Ethernet
say?
port.
You know what I
I
was
have
gonna say?
no idea.
Yes, you do. No, you don't. I'm trying to like
I
tell
don't.
you with my.
I
with my
honestly
mind.
don't.
Okay, so what I was
drawing a
gonna
blank.
suggest, is that Nintendo comes out with a $400 bundle, and it comes with a nicer, more powerful Switch, but that Switch, like the Switch Lite, doesn't have Joy-Cons that come out. It's just one unit, but it also
No.
comes bundled with a Pro Controller.
But no.
You're right.
But actually,
I
no.
No, yeah, well, that's my thought process. Like, I thought about it for a second. Oh, this seems like a weird idea. That's why Nintendo's gonna do it. And right before I actually said it out loud, I was like, no, I'm wrong. That's stupid. But then I felt like, because I brought it up, I had to say it, so I'm telling you guys.
That is...
Yeah. No, because they can't do that, because it would be missing features. And a Switch, the Switch Plus is meant to be
certain games wouldn't work out of the box. You'd have to buy
right,
separate
and that's
controllers.
why they won't do that.
Doesn't make
You're
sense.
right, and that's why it will not happen. It's also
they'd work. You could just buy the controllers.
right. It's
and
also why they
work
probably will
normally,
not package in a Pro Controller into the thing, like because that'll just raise the price of it significantly. I think.
There's no point.
Yeah.
I don't think it'd be wise to do that.
Yeah. People buy.
But I think they get.
Yeah.
As far as features, I definitely think the dock would be different. First off, I don't believe the I forget if I think it was the HDMI port. Yes, the HDMI port, if I believe, on the Switch, not the USB-C, but the HDMI port itself doesn't transmit 4K. It's not fast enough. So I think they changed that out. I think they put an Ethernet port. I'm not saying that games will run at 4K, by the way.
Would we get 4K upscaling?
I think so. I think
At
for games that already
350?
hit. Yeah. I
They
think so.
better.
I think it'd be weird if it didn't. Honestly, I think they could start selling the Switch right now for like $350 and
But it's
still make
Nintendo,
money.
so they
Or $250 and still make money.
But the thing is, it's still gonna be Nintendo next year when they launch the Switch Plus and like, hey, we can get away with this, so let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They always want to make money on their consoles, which is dumb. They should stop doing that.
Yeah. I agree.
I don't know why
would they make money?
I honestly, I don't think it's smart. Like, do you disagree? I don't think it's smart that they want to constantly always make money on their consoles, because they make so much money on software. They could make better hardware that people are asking for, begging for. Like, there's a big audience for better Switch hardware right now.
Here's the thing, though. People are
They
still
could make
buying it. They're still buying the games. They're still buying the hardware as it is. Because they want the games. And they still buy the games after. Like, I get it. It makes sense. It seems more fair. It's kind of like, if you look at Sony and Microsoft, they have price drops on all their systems and games all the time. But the thing about Nintendo is that they maintain value. They maintain the value of their product. They do not allow its image or quality to drop at all in terms of the public, public, like, they're really careful about their public image and the quality of their games and brand. And they get away with it, man. Their sales are really strong. The Switch has a ridiculously high attach rate compared to the competition. They sell way more games, and they make us think about this. They sell way more games than the competition, right? Yes. And they don't sell their systems at a loss. They profit off all their hardware, and their peripherals aren't necessarily expensive to make, but they're expensive to buy, and they make money off that too. And there's more peripherals for Nintendo, so they make more money off their accessories. They do not sell their systems at a loss. They sell at profit, and they make money off of it. And they sell way more software than everyone else, and they make a whole bunch of money off of that. Their structure is working perfectly because their sales are very strong, and they're making a lot of money off of it. Does it suck? Yes, but if people are buying it, then the value is there.
I do think, though, for a plus console, like an enhanced console, you got to make that worth it to consumers. Otherwise,
right, it's not going to be a mainstream device. It's not going to be the system that's going to sell 50 million units. That's what the Switch,
have a
normal Switch and Switch Lite will.
Pretty mainstream. Like, they have a chance to make this a system that could sell 10 20 million units because there's a way bigger market here than there is for the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X. And I think the Xbox, I'm not going to put out numbers.
I
so
think
I
that's a
don't know the
valid
exact
point,
count.
Brandon, because there is a demand for Switch to run
Yeah.
like multi-platform games at a competitive graphical level. Right now, there's
a big audience for
like
this.
the game,
If
like
you,
Witcher 3. Like I want it, but when I think about getting it on Switch, it just looks so blurry by comparison. It's like
if you come out with a Switch that's just barely an upgrade, sure, us hardcore Nintendo fans are gonna get that day one, but everyone else is gonna look at that and go, that's not worth it. Especially if you lower the Switch down to $250, like they're gonna be like, oh sweet, I'm not gonna pay $100 more to play Witcher 3 at full 720p instead of dynamic 720p. Like, not doing that. Like, nobody's gonna do that. Like, hardcore fans will do it, but nobody else. That's gonna sell like a couple million at best.
I get you.
But if you make it you make it worth buying by actually making the hardware a significant jump, where you can say, like, side by side, you can tell clearly, like, this is better. People will buy it because people want it. There is a market for this. They just have to actually make the console good enough to make it worth the extra $50, $100, whatever it is. That's
Okay.
why I think they can't skimp out here. That's why I think it would be dumb to focus too much on making a pure profit. I think they can still get away with making profit, honestly, just because, as I said, like what's in the Switch is old technology. Like, compared to what's out now, it's ancient of days stuff. The mobile market is growing like exponentially
Yeah,
faster.
my grandpa played
than-
on normal Switches.
There you go. But the mobile market is moving exponentially faster than it is for like normal consoles.
Mhm.
So they could make what normally would be like a generational leap almost.
Right.
And just be like, this is our enhanced one.
Yeah. I understand your point. I kind of like how you sort of highlighted that there is a much larger opportunity for an audience with the Switch Plus as opposed to the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X, because of that need for Switch games to run at a higher resolution, look better, have better fidelity, and be closer to that true console experience.
Yeah.
So I understand where you're getting at with that, and also how mobile technology has progressed. So that makes me optimistic that this Switch Plus is going to be off the chain when it comes out next year, but I am not sure it will. So, because it's Nintendo, so they tend to skimp on their hardware a little bit. They like cutting costs. We haven't had analog triggers since the GameCube. There's no audio jack on any of their controllers.
Yeah. I think that they understand, though, that in order to make an enhanced console, they need something that's worth it. I think they understand that, because they were even looking into putting the X2 into the Switch, but it was, I think the problem was it was too. At that time, I think they couldn't get the Switch out for $300 and still make a profit. The only reason they didn't do that and have the better battery life was because that they were just skipped down on it. Like, they're looking, they know, even for the normal console, they wanted to make it more. So I feel like they understand. I don't think there's any way that they can look at this and be like, I don't think they can look at the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X and not understand the market, because there's been precedent already. Like, I think if they didn't, then that's just them being, it's a dumb move. Like, if they do anything else, it's dumb. Like, it's not going to work. And I think they have to understand that. Because it's not like there's other options that would work. No, it's just straight up, like, you either make this worth it, or you don't. And I think they have to understand that, right? Like, you'd think.
There's an opportunity there, but I mean, we all, like, from our mindset, it may make the most sense, but you gotta, it's Nintendo, right? And we're not even Nintendo. Sometimes companies, they make these decisions that, from our perspective, seems like a bonehead decision. Maybe it is a bonehead decision, or maybe they have a better understanding of their own analytics that for them, from their perspective, it doesn't necessarily make sense. See, because there's all these different variables that we may not know about, but I definitely am hopeful that it is more along the lines of what you're saying, Brandon. I really am.
I think.
Yeah.
The only thing I could see is them waiting. That's the only thing I could see. Either they come out with a system.
I've heard people make the argument that maybe they'll just wait for Switch 2 at this point.
They could.
So I'll say this.
I just don't see the point.
I keep hearing people make the argument that the reason a Switch Pro makes sense is because it needs to be powerful enough to run the third-party games coming out from next-gen systems. Except I honestly think that's a kind of like an incorrect way to sort of think about it.
No,
And let me explain
I
why.
think
The
they're
reason
wrong.
why is because whatever the Switch Pro or Plus is going to be, right? It's not going to be the system that's going to sell more than the Switch Lite and the Switch combined, right? It's gonna, of the 3 variants of the Switch, it's gonna be the least selling of the systems, right? Because it's gonna be a premium version. So why would you make games that can work the Switch Plus is powerful enough to run these third-party games, but then it wouldn't be powerful enough to run on the normal Switch or Switch Lite. So why just have it for the normal Switch, right? Like if you don't understand, like, why would they do that? They wouldn't just make games for that audience. They would either have games that could run on all the systems or not, and it's just that simple. So I don't really see that happening.
With the precedent of the PS4 Pro and Xbox One X being able to run all the same games on base consoles, even if they didn't run that well sometimes, and the fact that they tried that for the new 3DS and new 3DS XL, it didn't work, and then they stopped immediately. Like, they saw it was not working. People had a terrible reaction to it. They didn't like it. They stopped. Did you see a bunch of games come out for the new 3DS and new 3DS XL? No, you didn't. There were like 3 exclusives for the whole thing.
Well, as Haruhi brings up in the chat, I think it was up to developers' discretion, right?
Yeah, and they said, hell no.
Because they can make more money by making their games for all the systems.
The reason
There's way more sales potential.
A Switch Plus is for 2 reasons. People who already have a Switch like us and want to upgrade after this is the 3rd year, that's enough time for people to be itching for an upgrade. Or for people who are like, I like the concept of the Switch, but I really don't want to play games at sub HD. You know? Those are the type of people, you know? Because I think there's a lot of people like that, honestly. I think they look at the Switch and they say, you know, that's a really cool idea, but I don't want to play Wolfenstein 2 at 540p. Like, I'm just not doing it. And I think that audience, you're going to pull those. The more hardcore consumers, people on the PC side, people who are used to PS4 and Xbox One, and who look at the Switch and go, ooh, that's cool, but I don't know about those graphics. Those are the 2 audiences. Not for exclusive games. That's not the point of it.
Right. The Switch Pro and the Xbox One X also, that was not their point either.
Yeah, no.
It was all about fidelity. So, I agree. I'm hopeful of the Switch Plus. Maybe Nintendo decides they'll just wait for the Switch 2. It would be weird, but they've said repeatedly that they want the Switch to last for a longer than normal cycle.
Yeah.
And
I think it'd be a waste. Like, they'd be throwing away money. They'd just be chucking away money if they waited that long.
Right.
Because people are itching to buy a new one right now.
Yeah, I think Nintendo's just going to be okay with not getting, like, the day-to-day release of multi-platform titles for the most part. They haven't been. They've been fine. Like, we kept hoping they would get to that point. There's been a few here and there, but for the most part, there hasn't been. And I think Nintendo's entirely fine with that. Like, the way games can scale now, there will be some games that will come out on the PS5 and the Xbox Series X.
Series X.
Right? And some of those games may come out and Switch around the same time as well. A lot of them won't, but at the same time, Nintendo's going to have a whole bunch of its own games, indie games, and there will be a whole bunch of older games coming to be pouring to Switch later on because it sells those games. They sell really well. It's been doing it for a couple of years already. I don't see that formula changing. They're dominating where they're at right now, and it is kind of like a different sort of position than the Xbox and the PlayStation. It's working.
Yeah.
So I think it makes sense to not expect to Switch 2 for a little while, which gives more reason for Switch Plus.
I definitely don't see the point of waiting all the way for a Switch 2, just because they have better hardware now at good prices. People are willing to pay. It's not like no, there's not an audience for it. There's an audience. There's no reason to hold back because it's like some may argue like they should just wait for a Switch 2 because it's not a big enough jump, but there's totally a big enough jump here that they can make
We're heading in a direction where there's going to be multiple
leap.
SKUs for every system.
Yeah.
So
and then make another generational leap for Switch 2.
Right.
The power difference there is.
Yeah. So
fine.
we're in agreement. So you say it's still pretty good likelihood that a Switch Plus Pro Advanced Extravaganza comes out in 2020. Say slightly a little bit after E3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool. And basically, what we described, it'll run games better. Maybe 4K upscaling.
I think it would be a waste if they didn't. I could see Nintendo not doing that because they're Nintendo. But honestly,
if it doesn't have that 4K moniker, it'd be kind of a hard sell for a lot of people.
I think the marketing, I think they do just for the marketing. Even if it wasn't that great of a 4K upscaler, just saying that it can upscale to 4K.
Which is why Switch 4K might be the name instead, actually.
Yeah.
Switch 4K would work.
I feel like after 2 generations of 4K being the norm, like Xbox One X and PS4 Pro made 4K the norm. Next generation is all about 4K as well. Like it'd be weird if Nintendo was just like, no, we're not doing that, even though we have.
So
games that
one thing I could
1080p
see them
already.
doing though is so while maybe not every game will be able to work natively on the Switch from PS5 and Xbox Series X, but maybe there could be more cloud games. So the Switch 4K, or actually Switch 4K, that might be it. Like if you know what I mean, like if they're gonna have a 4K upscaler, like
the market.
If it's only the thing is like if it's only upscaling, calling it Switch 4K would be kind of like misleading, right? Because
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Every box on PS4 Pro and Xbox One X says 4K, big 4K.
But they actually can run some games natively in 4K. Nintendo games will not.
It doesn't matter. I don't think it matters. I think the marketing is what matters for it.
They could. I'm talking about the name, like calling it Switch 4K.
Mm-hmm. But it's, even 4K upscaled. That's like
if all they could really do is 4K upscaling, do you think they would call it Switch 4K?
I think they should. If they were gonna go with that, if that's even an option that they would consider, I think they should.
Well, we'll see. But
I don't think they will. Honestly, I don't think that's an option that they would consider, even if it did run native 4K. Because I don't think that seems like very Nintendo name to focus on power as in the name.
Yeah, but this entire system is all about graphical fidelity, pretty much. Like one other thing besides graphics, though, they could do is have an Ethernet port.
Yes, 100%.
Native from it, and the importance of that, besides just being able to play games with better internet and download things quicker, is if you want to do more cloud gaming, right? And one thing that with this Ethernet directly into the dock, that would allow for a lot more cloud games for more graphically intensive games that may not be able to have been made native for the system, right? Like for example, Resident Evil, Biohazard, like was it Resident Evil 8 or 7? 7, like Resident Evil 7. Yeah, Resident Evil 7. That only came out on the cloud in like Japan for the Switch, right? But some of those cloud games may become a little bit more prevalent with PS5 and Xbox Series X.
Maybe they could work with Xbox on their X Cloud. Maybe they could have that work.
Perhaps, I could see that. But anyway, it's reaching midnight from where I'm at. Right, we're getting close to the 3-hour mark, so I want to start wrapping things up now. Brandon, I know you weren't prepared for this, but you're smart. Can you? What I want to do is just kind of for you to describe. We're both going to do it. To sort of describe your ideal 2020, like, it doesn't. Yes, your predictions.
Realistic ideal.
Realistic ideal. Like maybe it's a little on the optimistic end, right? But yeah, your realistic ideal situation.
Okay.
With the understanding that obviously some of your predictions are going to be wrong, some of them will be right, but yeah.
Okay. So I guess we'll start January Direct.
Sure.
I think Pikmin 3. Shin Megami Tensei 5 reveal. Let's see. Smash character. Smash DLC Wave 2 update. And Prime Trilogy JT. Those would be like the big things that they'll have there.
All right. I like that.
I do think Spring Direct. I do think that.
Okay.
I'm hesitant to say Mario Odyssey 2. Something big Mario. Some kind of big Mario game. I'm leaning towards Mario Odyssey 2. But I don't know if I want to predict that or not.
Okay.
But in my optimistic, slightly too optimistic ideal scenario, Mario Odyssey 2. And then we'll talk more about Xenoblade coming this summer. And that is where they'll announce the Switch Plus. Honestly, I think that's a good time. E3 is not a good time to announce consoles, in my opinion. I think they're already too focused on Zelda.
So
and all
before
that kind
E3.
of stuff. Before E3, in a Spring Direct, or
Interesting.
its own
Separate.
presentation.
Okay.
Actually, I think it would be its own presentation. I think it would be separate for our Direct.
Like the Switch Lite.
Yes.
Okay.
But I think that will either be. I think it'll be before E3. Because I think they'll want to talk about how games look at
Right,
E3
so they
on
could show
Switch
that off,
Plus.
how those games look at E3.
Because the Switch Lite was the
It
exact
did not
same. It was just
impact.
the form factor that was different.
Yep.
This impacts games directly, and they'll want to show every game now on the Switch Plus.
Right.
So all the trailers would be Switch Plus trailers.
Or when Nintendo's streams start becoming 4K streams. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Instead of 1080 60.
But those are the, and then Animal Crossing Direct. I didn't mention that Animal Crossing Direct. I think Pikmin. I'm all out of order here. Pikmin 3 Deluxe, February. I think April is when we'll see Prime Trilogy HD. My thoughts. I'm out of order here.
That's
Forgive me,
fine.
but okay. E3. We won't see anything for Zelda up to this point, if I had mentioned that. E3. Huge blow up for Zelda. We also see the big blow up for Mario Odyssey because they've only showed like a trailer and stuff for Mario Odyssey 2. So those would be the big main games. I think we'll have a few surprises here and there, but honestly, I think they'll focus mostly on those. Honestly, I think we might be slightly disappointed in the amount of actual new games shown at E3. I'm going to predict that now. I think the amount of brand new games shown at E3 will be disappointing because those two big games and the fact that they'll be talking more about games that we already know about.
Sure.
So I think there'll be a few new games, but some might consider that disappointing, even though I would not be disappointed at all. And then they'll have, after E3, they'll also have a Smash character, for sure, 100%. Probably in the Spring Direct too. Smash character at both of those.
Our predictions are
Xenoblade
very
will
similar.
be July.
Yeah.
Xenoblade will be July.
Okay.
Bravely Default will be August.
Okay.
October will be. I'm trying to even think about what games we know about. October is not gonna be. October could be Mario. I think October might be Mario. Zelda will be November, along with Pokemon Diamond and Pearl.
Both in November.
Both in November.
Interesting.
December. December might be. December could be a good time for 2D Metroid, actually. I think December can be 2D Metroid.
I like that.
And that will conclude it. I probably missed a bunch of things.
That's
not
fine.
the best, but trying to keep track of everything in my head is kind of hard. But,
for sure, which is why I'm gonna pull up the image.
You're smart.
Well, I did this a week ago, so
yeah,
I had an advantage. These are basically my predictions for the year 2020. I do kind of agree with Brandon's point that maybe Super Mario Party and Nintendo Land don't come out in the same year. So this is kind of more like a softish, don't assume that the slot is exactly where that game's gonna go, in my opinion. Like it wavers a little bit in my head. So January there'll be a Nintendo Direct, Tokyo Mirage Sessions, obviously a Smash character will be revealed there. for the final character in the Fighters Pass. February, I think, will be something. If it's not Metroid Prime Trilogy, I suggested in my predictions video maybe Skyward Sword HD, but another game could maybe be Pikmin 3, right? Like Brandon suggested, so maybe that could be there instead, and Metroid Prime Trilogy comes out a little bit later in the year. Say maybe the May time slot where I put Shin Megami Tensei, actually. That makes a lot of sense. Animal Crossing in March, along with Animal Crossing Direct. I think there could be an April or May Nintendo Direct, and No More Heroes. Maybe that's a little early for No More Heroes, although maybe not. We'll have to kind of wait and see on that one. But I do think another Smash character will be revealed around that time. And then I do think there will be, if Pearl and Diamond remakes are coming out this year, a Pokemon Direct will happen either the first week of June or at latter half of May. I'm gonna guess May because I don't think there's gonna be a Pokemon Direct at all in the first 4 months of the year because it's just gonna be a remake this time around as opposed to a whole new game. So I'm thinking they won't do it right before E3. They'll have it like late May. Will Shin Megami Tensei 5 come out in May? Probably not. I put it there, but you know. It could be at any point. I do think we'll at least hear about the game. It may not even come out this year, but at least it will. I think we'll finally get gameplay of the game at some point this year. I do think Nintendo Land has a decent chance to be real because that Monita artwork is just too convincing to me. It's official artwork from Retro Studios of a character that was unidentified. The only character could really fit, in my opinion, is Monita, which is the spokesperson character in Nintendo Land, which leads me to believe Retro Studios has been working on some sort of Nintendo Land variant, and I think it's about time that that game gets revealed. I wouldn't shock me if we see it at E3. Maybe we see it in one of the earlier Nintendo Directs, but I see that game coming out at some point this year as well. Another Smash character will be revealed at E3 for sure. Bravely Default 2, I see that coming out as a summer game. If Wave Race is like that random Nintendo game that decides to come out this year, summertime also makes sense for that. But if not, maybe F-Zero, maybe Mario Kart 9, some sort of racing game I am predicting sometime in the summer. I'm hoping for that. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition has already been confirmed to be coming out this year. When is a good time for that? I don't think it's going to be... Like, as I explained earlier, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition is not going to be Nintendo's first or second biggest game. It'll be third or fourth, maybe even fifth, right? So I feel like the August-September range is really like a better window for when that game should come out.
December could be a good slot.
Yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 came out in December, and it worked out well. Yeah, Smash came out in December, it worked out well for that game as well. So I could see that. My only thing is that Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, given that it's a remake, but we've already seen a pretty healthy trailer of gameplay footage of that back in the September Nintendo Direct, I don't expect it to be that far off from release. Like, I don't see it as a December kind of game. You know what I mean?
We did see it, when was that unveiled? September?
Yeah, September.
September Direct?
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably...
So while I do think it would work as a December game, I think it's further along than that, and there's no need to wait until December for that game. Bayonetta 3, on the other hand, while I do have it like in the fall months, I could see Bayonetta 3 getting pushed to December.
Okay.
Theoretically. Or Mario Odyssey 2, actually. One of those games could be December games. And then another one in October. But actually, I have Zelda for October. So my thing is that I don't think Nintendo will mix Mario or Zelda in with a Pokemon month. If Pokemon is actually coming out this year, I don't think Zelda or Mario, like a big Nintendo, those big ones, will be mixed in the same month. I think they'll be separated. They'll be in either, you know, like I could see Pokemon, Zelda, and Mario and Bayonetta all sort of taking up different months. Like those final 4 months, sort of swap them around however you want. That's how it'll be. It may very well be the case that one of these games does not come out this year. Maybe 2. I'm going to say at least 3 of those 4 come out this year. Potentially 4. But I would say it's like a 25% chance all 4 come out. Yeah. And if Mario, Odyssey, Pokemon, Diamond Pearl Remix, Breath of the Wild 2, Bayonetta 3, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, Bravely Default 2, No More Heroes 3, Metroid Prime Trilogy HD, Animal Crossing, Nintendo Land, and whether F-Zero or Wave Race and a Pikmin 3 port all come out in 1 year, my goodness, what a year that will be. It will be intense.
Yeah, that'd be insane.
It'd be intense.
I think Super Mario Odyssey is the one that if I had to get rid of any of the 4, it'd be that one.
Perhaps.
as saying not coming out in a different Mario game, because we're definitely getting something Mario. Usually
Maybe
it's
Paper
Pikachu
Mario instead. But the thing about Paper Mario is that it's an RPG, and if Shin
Yeah.
Megami Tensei 5 is around the corner, Tokyo Mirage Sessions is an RPG as well, and we're starting the year off with that. Bravely Default 2 is coming out this year, and Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. That is a lot of RPG. Also, technically, Pokemon Diamond Pearl and remakes are also RPGs. That's a lot of RPG, you know?
But only
And
two
while
of
Breath
those
of
are
the Wild
turn-based.
isn't necessarily an RPG, it has RPG-esque qualities to it. I'm just saying that's a lot
Paper
of RPG.
Mario isn't the game I would think either. Maybe we do get Mario Kart 9. I don't think so.
Mario Strikers.
Mario Strikers. I think we'll definitely get some sort of Mario Sports game, right? You'd think.
Yeah. So let's check in with the chat briefly before we call it a night. Guys, if you have any final questions, you have like a moment before we get off. But Mastermind added me. He said, I have a feeling that it's likely we'll get a Bravely Default character for Smash. I'm hoping for Tiz or Agnes. I've seen Agnes really rise up in the speculation lately. I could kind of see that happening. Yep.
Agnes was one I saw a lot in fake leaks back before the game.
Well,
came
that's
out.
because there's been a demand for the character. And if there's a demand for the character, it makes sense to be DLC.
True.
Maybe. So,
Maybe.
we'll see. But it's going to be a good year. So the next time we have another podcast, it's going to be 2020.
Yeah.
The big one.
The big one.
The big one. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the streamcast pod. The podcast stream. Yeah. Oh, Jalen Bush with the play right at the end. He said he just squeezed it right in there. Rex for Smash. You got it. Rex and Pyra. Maybe they could tie that in. Like close to like a Smash. Like maybe they could come out close to the time Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition comes out to sort of like market each other. I could see that something like that maybe happening.
Maybe, yeah.
Fingers crossed. But yeah, guys, that's it for now. Thank you so much. We'll see you later.
Bye, guys.